Hello, gamers. You're listening to the Short Pause Gaming Podcast. This is episode number 141. And welcome back to another edition of the Short Pause Gaming Podcast. I'm Brent Felsing, and joining me tonight, Mr. Benjamin Boyce. Ben, we're back. We had a week off. We stuffed our fat faces. We slept. I actually got some gaming in, but yeah, it's Thanksgiving week.
You might have slept.
Oh, no sleeping for you, huh?
Nah, not too much on my end.
I slept at the perfect times when my in-laws came over. That's when I dozed off for a good 3 or 4 hours and just happened to wake up right when they left, so it worked out well.
That's well done.
Yeah, thanks, man. So how was your Thanksgiving? Good?
Yeah, it was real good. Ate some food.
I was going to say, I hope there's more to it than just that.
It was good, man. Just hung out, ate some food, family time. Yeah, huge.
Watched the Lions play a solid football game.
Yeah.
Barf. As you can see, it's just you and I tonight. Frankie is going to be very busy with work over the next couple of weeks, so we may not have him at all until January, the beginning of January. So Frankie is very busy with work. He's still very much a part of Short Pause. It's just real life obligations tend to kick us all in the balls once in a while, so he's not here. And Bender was supposed to be here, but we're trying to figure out where he's at. Then again, we are recording at like midnight right now, and so he might be deep into Xenoblade Chronicles 2, but we're not really sure where he's at. If he is available or if he does jump on, we'll add him to the podcast, obviously, but right now it's just going to be you and me going through a lengthy new release list and some good news this week.
Yeah, man. It's gonna be a good show. I thought your sentence was gonna end a little bit differently there when you were like, Bender was deep in Xenoblade Chronicles.
Oh my.
What is it?
Well, now we have to put an age gate on this show, so that's awesome. I can see where this is heading. Not often do we get that Ben voice. You know, it's usually the mild-mannered, reserved, very professional, but obviously we're getting that Ben voice tonight, and I'm really excited about that.
Yeah, you should be.
I am, very much so.
It's not often we let him out of his cage, so.
Oh, my goodness gracious. All right, before this just goes way off track, I do want to touch base through real quick. The Tuesday Night Indie Spotlight, even though we didn't have a podcast last week, we did have a Tuesday Night Indie Spotlight this week. Mm-hmm. And this week we played Skyforce Reloaded, a game that I didn't have any expectations for. I knew it was a mobile game. That's where it was. I found a lot of its success was on mobile. But after watching the stream, this actually looks like a pretty fun game, dude.
Yeah, if you're a shoot 'em up fan, it's definitely something that you should take a look at. It's a very, it's in some respects it's a straightforward traditional vertical shooter, but there's other aspects that give it a more like kind of modern feel, like the way you upgrade your ship, the way you kind of progress from stage to stage. So it's a really good looking game. It runs great. It's a very buttery smooth frame rate. The remastered graphics look great. I don't have any experience with the Skyforce franchise, but I know that Skyforce Anniversary is on PlayStation platforms and other platforms as well. So I know that was on there. In like you mentioned, Reloaded was apparently a mobile title at one point, and that's been kind of redone for consoles now. So Skyforce Reloaded, I was like, yeah, I like shoot 'em ups. I haven't played one in a while. Let's fire this up. So fired it up, and yeah, it's a pretty fun game. There's some interesting design decisions in there, though. So the initial like loadout for your ship is very like weak. Like you have this weak gun that you shoot, and it shoots very slow, like one bullet at a time. And you don't feel like very powerful when you're using that. Typically, when you play a shoot 'em up, it's about like getting scoring the upgrades and building up your guns and building a cool ship like Gradius or something like that. Where you upgrade your ship. By the time you get to the end of the level, you're a lot stronger than when you started. And the Skyforce Reloaded is a very slow burn in that respect. So that thirst for like building a more powerful ship is not necessarily satiated when you're playing Skyforce Reloaded.
Mm-hmm.
So throughout the course of the 1 hours, or the 1 hour I played on the stream, my ship didn't get a whole lot stronger than when I started. Now the game starts you off. There's a little prologue at the beginning that wasn't on the stream. Is literally when you boot up the game, it just puts you right into a level. And you're like, oh man, you don't even get a title screen or anything. You're just right into a level, and your ship is fully upgraded. And you go through this very brief stage. You shoot stuff, and then it takes you into the main game itself. And then you start back at square one, and you really see how far you have to go to kind of build your ship up. So there's lots of different upgrades. You can upgrade the health. You can upgrade the missiles, the different weapon systems that are available for the ship. So there's all that stuff that's available as you collect currency and unlock medals in the levels. So that's cool. I like that aspect of it, but I would like to see the ship upgrade a little bit faster. Like I didn't get that all powerful feeling that I like to get from my ship, especially as you like get through to the end of a level. So would have liked to see a little bit faster burn in that respect.
Mm-hmm.
Also, progression in the game is tied to the medal system in the game,
Mm-hmm.
and the medals in the game are not necessarily like super easy to come by. So you get medals in the level for 4 different things: for killing 70% of the enemies, for killing 100% of the enemies, for rescuing all the humans, a la Resogun or a House Smart game, and for getting through the level untouched. So you can't get hit at all. So these are not necessarily like easy feats to accomplish. And during the stream, I made it through the first 2 levels and eventually was able to unlock the 3rd level. But I needed like 4 medals or something to progress to the 4th level. So I was gonna have to go back to the original levels and keep playing those and try to do some of these harder medals, like get through the level without being touched, or rescue all the humans or whatnot, or kill 100% of the enemies. And that's very difficult to do when you haven't upgraded your ship all the way yet. So it's an interesting style of progression. I wasn't entirely sure how I felt about it. Still not sure how I feel about it 100% yet.
Mm-hmm.
But all that said, it's a fun game to play. If you're a shoot 'em up fan, definitely give it a look. Like I said, it's a beautiful looking game, buttery smooth game. Runs at just a crisp 60 frames per second. You won't see any technical issues with this title. It's a very solid game. Mm-hmm. And it does enough cool stuff with the shoot 'em up formula that I think it's worth a look. So I enjoyed my time with it, and it's definitely something I'd like to play some more of.
Cool. Yeah, it was a good stream. Loved the soundtrack too. Some really good music in that game.
Yeah.
So
good,
and for $7.99, I mean that's that's what the discount rate was. I believe it's a $9.99 title.
It's a $10 game and 20% off at the initial batch. So yeah, it was not a bad price at all.
Good stuff. Did you get any other gaming in this week? I mean, were you able to get much else in?
I didn't get to do a whole lot this week. The Thanksgiving week, though, I got to do quite a bit, and most of it was Marvel Heroes Omega.
Yes.
Unfortunately, so we got hit with kind of a bomb late last week, and it was the fact that Gazillion was shutting down literally the day before Thanksgiving, and the whole staff was being laid off, and that the servers for Marvel Heroes Omega were going to be shut down much sooner than the December 31st day that they originally told us. So that was a huge bummer when that news came out. I was just hoping against hope that the servers were going to kind of hold out, and so I was like, you know what, while the servers are here, I'm going to sit down and just play as much of this game as I can. And I put in a good like 10-15 hours with Marvel Heroes Omega, like over the course of the Thanksgiving break, just sitting down and whenever I got a minute, just coming down here and spending some time with it. And man, I really got into the game. I really started to like it. It's a lot of fun, especially when everything's unlocked. So when you take out all the free to play BS and you don't have to worry about spending all this money to get all your upgrades and stuff, like man, that was a really fun game. And I had a lot of fun with it leading up to the server closures. And it sucks too, man. If I could have had maybe another week, I probably could have got the platinum in the game. I was moving along at a brisk pace. I had different strategies in place to get the rest of the trophies. The trophy list in that game was fun to try to get as well. So it encouraged kind of exploration through all the different aspects of the game. So that was a huge bummer when Marvel Heroes Omega closed down. It made it through the weekend, but it did eventually close down on Monday earlier this week. And yeah, I was really sad to see that go because seriously, I really got into the game. Like, I was really, really enjoying it, and it just I'm kicking myself that I didn't do that when the game first came out because it was a lot of fun. I would have liked to experience it, the way it was meant to be experienced. I had a lot more time with it, but just wasn't meant to be. So huge bummer there. Really, really sad to see that go. I'm kind of looking for a Marvel Heroes fix now. I may have to go back and fire up Ultimate Alliance and start playing through those games, because I do like I'm like missing that aspect of my gaming right now. The brief time that I spent with it. So, it sucked to see Marvel Heroes go. Obviously, we wish Gazillion the best. They caught a raw deal, just being unemployed right before the holidays. So, Gazillion not handling things the best, and from what I've read in the rumors about this situation, a lot of this falls on the poor management of that studio. So, apparently, they may have breached their contract with Marvel, and that's what led to them severing ties with Marvel and the game being shut down much sooner than any of us wanted to. So some mismanagement at Gazillion, and a promising game, a game that a lot of people enjoyed and played. Every time I hopped into Omega, there was a ton of people in there playing the game. So I don't think it was because there weren't people playing or there weren't people spending money. I feel like there were, but the poor management kind of did the game in from what I understand. So that's an even tougher pill to swallow as a gamer and somebody who was enjoying that game. So Marvel Heroes Omega went down, and then of course Destiny 2. Spent a lot of time with Destiny 2. Iron Banner was running, so spent a lot of time in the Iron Banner, kind of wrapping up my season 1 milestone or whatever for that, where you get the little emblem when you make it to the end there. And man, that took me a lot longer than I thought it would. I tell you what, I had played a little bit over the weekend, so I got a few packages. Basically, the task was to get 10 Iron Banner packages before the end of season 1. So you had all of the last Iron Banner to do it and all of this one to do it. So it was a very achievable feat. I didn't get to spend a whole lot of time with the previous Iron Banner. I only got to play one day when the first Iron Banner rolled around. So I had quite a bit of work still left to do. So when Season 2 came around, I put in some time over the weekend, was on some good teams, got some wins, got a few packages relatively easy. So I was like, this shouldn't take me too much longer to kind of finish this out. So I went into Monday night to finish up my Iron Banner milestone, and I had maybe 3 or 4 packages left to get. And for the life of me, I just could not get on a team of people that could win a match. So it took me probably 2 hours longer than I thought it would to achieve that feat and finally score the emblem I was trying to get. But Iron Banner's a lot of fun, so it was fun in the long run. But man, I was frustrated with just could not score a win. Lots of close matches and just couldn't pull out the W. But outside of Marvel Heroes, Destiny, and the Spotlight, this week has not. I haven't had time to do anything this week. It's been a hell of a week, man.
Yeah, I feel it, and it is a bummer to hear about Marvel Heroes Omega. I played a little bit. I thought it was a pretty fun game, and there were people spending money on it. We talked about it last 2 weeks ago, but I'm not really sure. I want to hear your excuses about not getting the platinum, because Benner went in and got the platinum rather easily. So I'm not really sure I'm interested in your excuses, because Benner got it done. So good on you, Benner. And I'm proud of you, buddy. Wait, I believe that you tried. Boys, I don't believe you tried hard enough.
Well, thanks, man. I appreciate it. No, Bender, Bender did it right. He got in there and he played Marvel Heroes a lot when it first came out, and I played, but did not, invest myself fully in the title like he did when it first came out. So he was in position to sit down and platinum the game, and he still had a lot of work to do, but man, he banged it out, and kudos to him for getting that platinum. That's a nice one for the trophy case, man.
Yep, yours is gonna look a little bare without it. Now, I'm glad I'm glad you got the Iron Banner emblem. I was gonna try to go for it, and I made a good effort, and I ended up getting, I think, 2 or 3 packages. But then I started to come down with the cold, because obviously we had a house full of kids for Thanksgiving, so naturally I had to pick something up. So I spent most of the week just going to bed as early as I could to get to rest up, so I could be here with you tonight. So,
yeah. What a pal.
I know that's what I do, man. Those are the kind of things I do.
Team player.
Yeah, absolutely. But after the cold got past, I ended up playing a little bit of Resident Evil Revelations on the Switch. And I've gotten through, I think, the first 3 chapters of that game. Pretty nice game running on the Switch. The first Revelations, that one runs at a pretty steady 60 frames. And it's really strange because I fired up the second one just so I could see how that would look. And that one runs at like 30 frames. So obviously the second one is a lot more graphical intense. It's a much bigger game in terms of the presentation, but going back to Revelations 1, it was nice having that 60 frames, but I'm making my way through that campaign. It's a perfect game, especially because it's episodic. So when I'm on I can basically finish up an episode after I play on my break, my lunch, and my other break. By the end of the day, I can get through one episode. So that works out well. So I played a lot of that, and then I also started up Assassin's Creed Origins. There was a deal earlier this week. I think it was on Cyber Monday at a website called CD Keys or something along those lines. They had Origins for I think it was like $31 and then another 10% off or something along those lines. So I ended up grabbing it for digital. And I'm about close to 12 hours into it, and I'm really enjoying what I played, dude. I haven't gotten really invested in an Assassin's Creed game since 2. The other ones I dabbled with here and there, but they never really pulled me in. This one's got me hooked, dude. I'm actually really enjoying what I've played. Like I said, 12 hours in. But gosh, I was 4 hours in. I was like, man, I don't even remember seeing a title screen. And then it's like 4.5 hours, I realized I'd just beaten the prologue. It said prologue completed. And then I got the title screen. I was like, oh, my God, I spent so much time wandering around this opening area that I probably could have been further along. But I didn't want to rush it. It's just the missions are varied. They're fun to do, and obviously, with Assassin's Creed, the focus is on stealth gameplay, and those are games I love playing, man. They're just really fun to play. But really enjoying what I played so far, though. It's really a beautiful looking game. I love the setting. I mean, Egypt is an awesome setting for this game. It's very beautiful. The characters are awesome, and the combat. I understand. I know Frankie said that was the most off-putting part of it was the combat. And it does take some getting used to. It is different from previous Assassin's Creed games, but I've gotten my head around the combat. I found the type of weapons that I like to use, and I'm starting to get familiar with them more and more and what I can and can't do in combat. Being a little bit more smart about how I attack enemies and stuff like that. Utilizing, I think a Sanu is your hawk or your eagle that can actually. You can use them to harass enemies, to kind of distract them, to kind of get you in position for the kill. So there's multiple ways to use your environment, to use your support. I guess you could call the eagle your support class because he helps how he spots enemies for you and all that jazz. But overall, very, very strong impression so far.
Interesting, yeah. Yeah, obviously, like you said, you haven't played an Assassin's Creed or got into one in a while, so I was a little surprised to hear that not only had you picked it up, but you're already 12 hours into it.
Yeah.
So, yeah, that's awesome, man. It's good to hear, and I heard nothing but great things about Origins. So, it sounds like, Ubisoft kind of, it paid off for them. They took that year off. They constructed a game that has resonated with many, many people, and, the franchise is back on the up and up. So,
yeah, it feels like a polished game. Like, it runs great, looks great. And I'm enjoying it. So I'm focused on that to hopefully get a bunch of time with that in tomorrow and Sunday, and hopefully have it wrapped up by sometime next week. I'm going to try to focus mainly on the story campaigns, but some of the story quests, but some of them are higher levels than what I'm currently at. So I have to go do some side quests, do some other things to kind of get that XP to get my character where he needs to be. But even when I'm at the proper level, there's so many side quests around me. I know I'll be able to come back to this game. There's going to be a lot to do. So, right now, just trying to focus on the story so I can actually get through and beat the damn thing.
Think you'll be able to finish it next week, eh?
I think at the rate I've been playing, I've been finding more time to come down here with the kids in the morning. And then I take Ethan to school. The kid, Anderson, goes to the sitters, so I try to get another hour in. And then at night, I come home and I tell myself, look, I'm just going to play for an hour and a half. I'm going to go to bed because I don't want to get sick. And so I've been just focusing on that, and it's worked out well. So I'm hopefully going to stick to that and see if we can finish it up next week.
Good stuff, man.
Cool. So, yeah, that's what I've been playing. Boys, let's get to these new releases. We got a lot to cover.
Big old list this week, man. So back back out of the holiday break, and we had a shorter list going into the break, and now we're back to the very busy fall gaming season. So first off, we want to start with a couple things that we want to note from last week. Obviously, we weren't here, but a couple titles that we want to make known. Obviously, the big one that came out yesterday as we're recording this, or today, sorry, as we're recording this, Xenoblade Chronicles 2. So out now for the Switch. I know Bender's got his hands on it. My copy was supposed to be here today. It's not. But I know you haven't fired it up yet. But
mine hasn't shown up either. That's the beauty of it.
Sweet.
Yeah, it's awesome.
So, Xenoblade's been reviewing very well. It's got a lot of praise heaped on it by critics. Seems like in some respects this is going to be a polarizing title for some people, but we don't have any, first-hand experience for this yet. So look for that as we, move on with the shows later this month. I'm sure Bender will have some stuff to say about it next time we get him on the podcast. So be on the lookout for that. Just know that Xenoblade Chronicles 2 is out now. And tell you what, Brent, I didn't think it was going to happen, man. I didn't think Xenoblade was going to make it out this year, but they did it. They got it out, and it's now arrived. So be on the lookout for that. If you are a JRPG, a hardcore JRPG fan, this game very, very dense. So just be aware of that before you hop into it. Doom VFR is out now. Another game that came out today, I believe. Did you pick this up?
I didn't, but I'm waiting to see what people think about it first. I'm not ready to just jump into it. Like Cyber Monday and Black Friday really just beat the hell out of my wallet, so I'm not jumping into this one just yet. I'm gonna wait to see what people are saying about it.
Yeah. So Doom VFR obviously is a VR take on Doom, but the cool thing about this is it uses the aim controller. I was really curious to hear some feedback on that. I have not had a chance to even look to see if anybody's reviewed this game, so I'll be on the lookout for that. But yeah, very, very curious to see how this experience translates into VR. And VR naturally has to be, displayed to you at a high frame rate in order for it to function properly. So I feel like Doom, thrives in that high frame rate environment. So having that in VR with the aim controller just seems like a match made in heaven, man.
You'd think.
Yeah. So. We'll see about that as we move along here as well. Siberia 2 is out now for the Switch, the long-running adventure series. Like you mentioned, Brent, Resident Evil Revelations 1 and 2 is available on the Switch now. Black Mirror, kind of an interesting-looking gothic horror game, is available on the PS4 and Xbox One now. Soma hit the Xbox One. It's that atmospheric kind of horror game from what was the other game this team did? Was it the Amnesia?
Amnesia, yep.
Amnesia, yeah. So from the Amnesia developers. Serial Cleaner hit the Switch as well. So it's one that you played and enjoyed earlier this year, Brent, on the Indie Spotlight. Star Ocean: The Last Hope, the remaster of the beloved PS2 game, hit the PS4 with 4K 60 frame support. So that's an interesting one. A lot of people love that game. Tekken 7 got its Geese Howard DLC. Geese looks awesome in that game. Wolfenstein 2, The New Colossus, has a demo available on a free trial for the game, so if you want to see what all the hoopla is about with that one, you can do so. Project Cars 2 also has a demo available. We also got some information on the first expansion for the game, which is due out in the near future here. And with this expansion, it's dubbed the Fun Pack. You can expect 2 new tracks, 8 new cars, and a few other things for Project Cars fans. So be on the lookout for that if you are into that game. Speaking of racing games, Gran Turismo Sport got its big 1.06 update. So this brought offline racing to the game, as well as a wealth of other things, new cars, and a career mode that's like a more robust one-player, single-player experience coming to that game as well. So a lot that they're adding to that game, and a lot coming in the pipeline for that. Destiny 2 also got a free trial that's available on the system now. So if you have still not tested out Destiny 2 after all we've told you about it, I find it very hard to believe if you listen to this podcast you have not touched Destiny 2 at this point. But if you haven't, there's a free trial available now. You can play the first mission, as well as you can get into some Crucible action, and I think there's a few other things you can test out in there as well. But I think they give you one of the open areas to run through as well. So test out the open world, test out the campaign, test out the Crucible, see what Destiny 2 is all about with the free trial. Xbox Game Pass also got its December update. It went live today as we're recording this. Just a heads up, Gears of War 4, Darksiders War Mastered Edition, Sherlock Holmes, The Devil's Daughter, This War of Mine, The Little Ones, Casey Powell Across 16, one we've all been waiting with bated breath for, Mega Man 10, and Mass Effect are all now available via the Xbox Game Pass. So go out and check that out. Great deal, good program. Now moving on from there, Brent, we have the PS Plus and the Games with Gold games for December. Let's run down this list, starting with the PlayStation Plus. Darksiders 2 Definitive Edition will highlight the PS Plus offerings for December. Kung Fu Panda Showdown of Legendary Legends is coming to PlayStation 4. The Siberia Collection will be available on PS3 alongside X-Blaze Lost Memories, which is a visual novel set in the Blaze Blue universe. Forma.8, an excellent Metroidvania title, is cross-buy with the PS4 and available on the Vita. And Wanted Core is also available on the Vita, a top-down action game. So, Brent, your thoughts on this list?
Not bad. Doesn't really blow me away. Forma 8's a really good game. I would be excited about Darksiders 2, but I did a Humble Bundle a couple months ago, and both Darksider games were included, so I ended up getting it through that. Kung Fu Panda, I mean, I'm sure it's a fun game. I'm just not into the brawlers or any kind of fighting game for that matter. Siberia Collection, not too familiar with that. X-Blaze Lost Memories, no interest. Wanted Core, don't even know what that is, but... I mean, I'm sure there's something for everyone in here, but if I didn't have Darksiders 2, I'd be pumped about that one. And if I didn't have Form 8, I'd be pumped about that one.
Yeah, I'm in the same boat. I already have the games that I would have been excited about from this list. Darksiders 2, like you said, part of that Humble Bundle recently where you not only got the Darksiders games on the PS4, you got the Darksiders games on the PS3 as well as like 16 other THQ games. So it was an incredible bundle that it was too good of a deal to pass up. So I already own these games as well. Was surprised to see Kung Fu Panda on this list. I don't know anything about this game. I don't know if it reviewed well or if it's any good at all. This is the type of game that you would look at and just think it's probably licensed schlock, but I have no idea. So maybe it's good, maybe it's not. No idea about that. But yeah, a decent lineup if you don't have Darksiders 2 or Forma.8. Now, with PS Plus comes Games with Gold, so the December games for Games with Gold have been revealed. Warhammer: The End Times Vermintide, a game that Frankie enjoys, is available December 1st to the 31st, so that's available now. Back to the Future the Game, the 30th Anniversary Edition, will be available on the Xbox One from the 16th of December through the 15th of January. On the 360 backwards compatible side of things, Child of Eden will be available December 1st to the 15th. And Marlo Briggs and the Mask of Death, a game I had never heard of prior to this announcement, available December 16th through December 31st. Brent, your thoughts on this?
I've actually played Warhammer in the End Times of Frankie. That is a pretty fun game. It's a nice co-op game, and it is a lot of fun to play with friends. I don't think it's something I'd play solo, but if you got a couple buddies to play with, this is a fun little game. Back to the Future the Game, that's awesome. Child of Eden and Marlo Briggs, nope. I don't think Child of Eden was that RPG game.
This is that.
Oh no, I'm thinking of Child of Light. Never mind, I'm thinking of Child of Light.
Child of Eden is like kind of like the Rez kind of game.
Oh, okay, yeah, I'm not too familiar with that or Marlo Briggs. So, but I do think the top two games, the Xbox One games, Warhammer and Back to the Future, are nice titles.
Definitely. So that is your Games with Gold lineup. Let's move on to the games that are coming out this week, Brent. And for our spotlight titles for this week, of course, the main event is Destiny 2, The Curse of Osiris. So Tuesday, December 5th, the new DLC will be out. Now, we are going to talk about Destiny in depth at the top of the news segment. So we are going to save our discussion for that point. But just know that we're excited about this. We will be playing this Tuesday night. Will we be streaming this?
Oh yeah, we'll be streaming this on Tuesday.
We'll be streaming Curse of Osiris. Brent and I will be there. Possibly one of the other Short Pause Guardians will be there with us. We'll see how it all works out. But come Tuesday night, we'll run an early version of the Indie Spotlight on Tuesday. So if you're looking forward to that, what do you think, Brent? Do you want to handle this early? Do you want me to take care of it at 9? What are you thinking?
I'm going to handle it sometime earlier in the day on Tuesday. It'll be a kind of a midday thing. I got to figure out my schedule, but yeah, it'll be an early Tuesday night Indie Spotlight just so we can free up the evening for our baby Destiny 2.
So maybe like 7-ish? Is that
it might even be earlier than that. Like I'm talking like midday.
Oh, okay. So in the middle of the day. So
Yeah.
it'd be the middle of the day.
Between
in the
11
spotlight.
and 5. Between 11 and 5 is where we'll be.
It's good. It's a nice concise window for everybody to plan around.
Yeah.
So we'll run the indie spotlight on Tuesday like we always do. It'll be earlier in the day though, and that'll free up the evening slot where we would typically be doing the spotlight. We will be playing Destiny 2 and getting into the Curse of Osiris. We'll be playing through the story there. Maybe we'll hop into the Crucible, test out some of the new maps, but we'll give the stuff a whirl and see what we can get into for that. So we're looking forward to that. And like I said, stay tuned. We have a lot of Destiny to discuss once we get to the top of the news section later on in the show. Another big title this week is A Hat in Time. It's coming to PS4 and the Xbox One on Wednesday, December 6th. Brent, this is often referred to as kind of like a throwback to Mario 64, one of those kind of games. It looks like a fun game. It's reviewed well. I know Bender's looking forward to this one. I'm looking forward to this one as well. But and I can't help but feel that some of the excitement and luster for this game is lost because Super Mario Odyssey already came out.
Yeah.
It already came out this year. So I personally have not played A Hat in Time yet, but while it looks cool, I'm just like, yeah, but Mario Odyssey is out now.
Exactly.
Have you seen A Hat in Time? Any interest in this one?
No, for the same. I've got other games I got to play, and like I said, if I want to play something like this, I'm going to play Mario Odyssey. I have that sitting there waiting for me as well. But it's an interesting looking game. I know Bender is really interested in it, and maybe he'll pick it up and we'll hear his thoughts on it. But this is going to be one of those games that's probably going to get lost in the shuffle this fall.
Yeah, I can't help but feel the impact of this would have been far greater had it come out at a time when Mario Odyssey was long in the rearview mirror.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, I believe this has been out on PC already though. So the people that enjoyed it over there, they played it long before Mario Odyssey came out. So I've heard great things about this game, nothing but good things about Hat in Time. So I do want to play it at some point, but a part of me is just like, yeah, but we already got the Mario game this year. So
right.
So be on the lookout for that. Another title we want to spotlight this week is Hello Neighbor. It's coming to the Xbox One Friday, December 8th, and this is a very interesting looking title, Brent. Don't know if you've watched the trailer for this, but in this game, you play as this guy. It's kind of like a stealth horror game. You play as this guy who's trying to break into his neighbor's house and figure out what is going on in this dude's basement or what unsavory things this guy is up to. So we see, it's played from a first person perspective. We see some interesting tactics, like we see the guy trying to figure out how to get into the house, so he creates a diversion by throwing stuff, like he threw a tomato at the guy's window. So the guy runs out of his house to see what's going on. You kind of sneak in behind him there. You're rummaging through the house trying to find a key to get into the basement. The guy spots you, and you're running around trying to figure out how to get away from him. So it's a very, very interesting looking game. Very creepy looking game. It's kind of whimsical and creepy though. It has that whole vibe about it. But it's a tiny build game, so obviously they publish some really cool independent titles. So really curious about this one, man. Any interest in Hello Neighbor?
Dude, the way you described it, a guy trying to break into somebody's house, trying to figure out what kind of creepy stuff they got going on. This sounds like it's based on the classic movie The Burbs with Tom Hanks, where he lives next to the Klopex house, and he's trying to break into the house to figure out what's going on in the basement. That comparison right there has me very interested in this game. I haven't even seen the trailer for it yet. I'm going to watch it afterwards, but I am highly interested in this game, dude.
Yeah, it's got the art style is very do you know the movie like Frankenweenie?
Yeah,
it's got that kind of like creepy cartoon vibe. It's got that kind of creepy cartoon vibe about it. It's not in black and white like that, but it's got that kind of like feel to it. So very interesting looking title. It also you mentioned The Burbs. I think of that movie. What's that one with Shia LaBeouf? Disturbed or it starts with a D.
I think it's Disturb or Disturbia.
Disturbia, yeah.
I think it's Disturbia.
That one, yeah. That's I thought of that as well.
Yeah, that was a good movie. I thought that was pretty good.
Yeah, actually, I'm a fan of that movie as well. So yeah, check out Hello Neighbor, Hat in Time, Destiny 2. Those are our spotlight titles for the week. Let's move on with the rest of the release list now. On Tuesday, December 5th, 9 Parchments hits PS4, Xbox One, and Switch. So this is the latest game from Frozen Byte. Very, very cool looking cooperative like dungeon crawler game. Looks like a lot of fun. Horizon Zero Dawn gets its complete edition this week. So if you have still not checked this game out, get the complete edition. You'll get the game plus the Frozen Wilds pack all in one nice package. So that's a great deal if you've yet to experience that game. Also on the collection front, the Walking Dead collection, the Telltale series, brings the entire saga to the PS4 and Xbox One this week with enhanced visuals. So that's nice. I don't know if you've seen any of the visual upgrades, but they look really nice. And this is the first time you'll have the entire 19 episode collection in one disc. Wow. So that's seasons 1, 2, and 3 of The Walking Dead, plus the 400 Days DLC, plus the Michonne miniseries. So a nice little collection there if you've yet to check out Walking Dead. Now what I'm trying to, and I haven't been able to find any concrete information on this. I would assume this is the case, but are these visual upgrades going to be applied to the people that already own the seasons of the game on the digitally or whatever? Is that I would assume that those would be that as part of this collection. It's not. I would assume that this collection is not just
like a standalone
thing,
like
a separate entity. Right. Yeah, and maybe I'm mistaken, but that would suck if those visual upgrades weren't coming to everybody else who already has the game.
Yeah, that's a good question because I have I think seasons 1, 2. And I believe I have the 400, and I think I have the Michonne thing.
Yeah, I have the entire collection.
Well, I guess you'll find out on Tuesday if you get that update.
I guess I'll have to check out the patch notes. But yeah, couldn't find any information one way or another when I was briefly looking into this before the show. But curious to hear about that. But regardless, the visual upgrades are nice. If you have not checked out the series, no better time to do it than now with the collection. Let Them Come is coming to PS4 on Tuesday. This is that stationary gunner game that came out to the Xbox a week or two ago. Steep Winter Games Edition. There's also there's a few different versions of this. So you can get the Winter Games add-on if you already own Steep. You can buy the entire package, which has Steep and the Winter Games Edition. There's also a gold edition of the game, which includes Steep, the Winter Games Edition, and the season pass for the game. So grab whichever one of those floats your boat. Dead Rising 4 comes to PS4 this week, Brent, with Frank's big package. Mm-hmm. So it comes, the entire Dead Rising 4 experience up to this point. Plus, we've got this new Capcom Heroes mode, which I think actually sounds really fun. Frank gets to dress up as a bevy of characters from Capcom's stable. So they've already showed Mega Man and Cammy from Street Fighter. Uh-huh. So being able to hop into Dead Rising as Mega Man and just fire off your arm cannon, that stuff sounds like a lot of fun. So that's a cool addition to the game. Obviously, they have the mini golf, the campaign, the story expansion. Everything that was part of the Dead Rising experience will be in this package. So if you have been interested in Dead Rising 4 and you're a PS4 only owner, check that one out this week. Caveman Warriors coming to Switch in a interesting looking cooperative platformer. Oh My God Heads is a multiplayer competitive multiplayer game. Boiling Bolt is a very good looking title. Very good looking shoot 'em up game. It's a side scrolling shoot 'em up with an awesome art style. Very curious about this one. That's coming to PS4 and Xbox One. Justice League VR, the complete experience, is coming to PlayStation VR this week. Don't know anything about this. This one came out of the blue. Not expecting much out of this, but it's said to let you, take on the role of the Justice League in VR. So I don't know if this is just gonna be simply, some kind of throwaway stuff where you can test out the different heroes' powers. But that's coming out this week. Mitch Berry Challenge, strange name for a game. It's a kind of a archaic platformer. Snow Fortress coming to PlayStation VR. It's a snowball fortress kind of, I don't know. You throw snowballs at the other snowball fort. It's kind of a snowball fight game.
Oh.
This is the Police getting a retail release on the Switch. This is all still on Tuesday. Marvel vs. Capcom Infinite getting its next pack of DLC fighters. Black Widow, Venom, and Winter Soldier all look pretty rad, especially Venom. I really liked Venom in Marvel vs. Capcom 2. He has a lot of his moves from what I saw in Marvel vs. Capcom Infinite. Winter Soldier and Black Widow, I think, look pretty kick-ass as well. So this looks like a good addition to this game. Once again, this is a very, very good fighting game. Really enjoying watching the competitive scene around this game. It's a lot of fun to watch. Star Wars Battlefront 2, the faction event begins this week, which will lead to some rewards in December here based on the faction that you choose. And The Surge gets its A Walk in the Park DLC. This is the story expansion for the game set in the amusement park. Very interesting looking upgrade. This is, of course, coming to PS4 and Xbox One. I know Frankie's excited about that one. Surge is a game he really enjoyed. And then finally on Tuesday, Middle-earth: Shadow of War getting its online fight pits as a free update for the PS4 and Xbox One. Just to once again remind everybody, online fight pits challenge another player's orc follower, Overlord versus Overlord, to a fight to the death in the arena to earn powerful rewards and upgrades. So that's what you'll be doing there. Wednesday, this is something we just found out about today, but the rest of the Jak collection, the PS2 on PS4 collection, coming over to the PS4 on Wednesday. So Jak 2, Jak 3, and Jak X Combat Racing will be available to go alongside the original Jak. There will be a bundle available with all of these titles in it as well. So if you want to pick them all up at once, look out for that. Chaos on Deponia is coming to PS4 and Xbox One. This is the sequel to Deponia, a game that Bender played on the Indie Spotlight not too long ago. This, kind of traditional point-and-click adventure game. This came out a long time ago, 5 years ago on the PC, finally making its way over to console. Never End is a roguelike dungeon crawler coming to PS4 on Wednesday. Square Boy vs. Bullies Arena Edition is a game that's been out on other platforms, coming to the PS4 this week. A side-scrolling brawler. And Rememoried, a very interesting-looking kind of existential first-person exploration game that's coming to Xbox One on Wednesday. Thursday, this is Switch Day, Brent, so strap in. We've got a lot of titles to talk about here. First off, Invector's coming to PS4. This is actually a really interesting-looking title. It's an amplitude rhythm type of game. And then we get into all these indie games that have been on other platforms that are now coming over to the Switch. So the Sexy Brutale, another Frankie joint, that's coming on Thursday. Tesla Grad hits Switch on Thursday. Human Fall Flat hits the Switch on Thursday. Phantom Breaker, Battlegrounds Overdrive, interesting-looking brawler, will be there on Thursday. Plague Road hits on Thursday. Slain Back from Hell, the heavy metal Castlevania kind of game. Vostok Inc. is a Thursday title. Dimension Drive, space shooter, hits on Thursday. Yo Danji hits the Switch on Thursday. Riptide GP Renegade, the high-octane jet ski game, is a Switch title. Plantera Deluxe, the planting and very colorful happy game, comes to the Switch on Thursday. Embers of Mirim, it's a game that Bender played and reviewed and really enjoyed. A puzzle platformer that's actually a lot of fun. That's coming out on Thursday. Red Game Without a Great Name.
What?
It's the literal name of this game. That's coming to the Switch on Thursday. You control like a mechanical bird of some sorts, I believe, through these through these various side-scrolling stages. Acorn Tactics is on Thursday. Arcade Archives Neo Geo, Top Hunter, Kathy and Roddy, a side-scrolling brawler that hits Switch, PS4, and Xbox One on Thursday. A couple 3DS titles here. Japanese Rail Sim 3D Travel of Steam. That's a 3DS title. Latest in the Japanese Rail Sim series. All of us huge fans of Japanese Rail Sim here at Show Pause. So the excitement around the office is palpable with that release. And then Christmas Night Archery, the 3DS, the new 3DS only. Christmas Night Archery will be available on Thursday. Friday, Brent, as anticipated, Frankie called it. 10 Tons has another release in the works for the Switch.
Wow.
Tennis in the Face will make its way over to the Switch on Friday. That's a really fun game. Tokyo Xanadu EX Plus, the action RPG, coming to PS4 on Friday. Paladin hits Xbox One on Friday. Battlestar Galactica Deadlock hits PS4 and Xbox One on Friday. A spaceship shooter game. And how about this? A couple of Saturday releases this week.
Oh.
One of those being Loco Roco 2 Remastered. I have no idea why this is a Saturday release. It's very strange. But I'm looking forward to this one. Definitely picking this up. If you're listening to this prior to the release of the game, there's a discount if you pre-order it. I think it's $11, so definitely hop into that if you're interested. Get some Loco Roco 2 in 4K action. And then Monster Hunter World, the beta begins this Saturday.
Oh.
If I can find the time, Brent, I will get in there and hop into this game. Because very, very curious to see what Monster Hunter World has in store. More and more I see about this game, the more excited I get about it. Just to brief everybody on the dates and times for the beta. So on December 9th, 9 a.m. Pacific time, the beta will get started. So that's 12 noon Eastern time here. And then on December 12th, the beta will complete at 9 a.m. Pacific time or 12 noon here on the 12th. Preload will be available for this on the 8th on PlayStation 4. Just be on the lookout for that. What do you think, man? You gonna test the beta out?
I might hop in there and give it a look. See, just depends what's going on that weekend. I work Saturdays, so it's real difficult to get in and try anything out on Saturdays. But if not, I expect to hear you guys' thoughts on it.
Yeah, I definitely would love to get in there and give it a whirl. Like I said, man, get more and more excited about this game the more and more I see about it. It looks like a lot of fun.
Man, I'm looking at this thing, dude, on Thursday and all these releases. We all just got done pissing all our money away on Black Friday and Cyber Monday and all these deals. And what's Nintendo do? Puts out 15 independent titles.
Yeah. I mean,
one day. Good luck, guys.
Thankfully, I already own most of these games, so won't have to splurge on Thursday.
But I mean, these developers, they can't be expecting a whole lot of returns right now.
Yeah, right? I think they probably are, but they might be in for a rude awakening. Because as we saw when the Switch first came out and these independent games started to get on there, like at the beginning of the Switch life, like people are looking for these experiences. They're looking for games to buy on their Switch. So the people that got in early, like they saw high returns. I'd be very curious to see as we get through the fall here and Nintendo continues to build the library on the Switch, like how many of these like late fall games are striking it big on the Switch now? Like is there still that ravenous crowd out there that's like, all right, I just want whatever I can get on my Switch? Like, are they doing that for these games now, or has that kind of come and gone as the libraries continue to grow?
Well, I think with games like Mario, that's a long game to play through. You got Xenoblade Chronicles 2 that just came out, and Doom and Skyrim. You've got these massive games that take quite a bit of time to beat. I just can't see too many people setting too much time aside to go, hey, let's go grab a bunch of these indie titles right now. I think the time to strike was when the system first came out in the first couple months. Yeah, you had Zelda, but people were looking for something different other than Zelda at the time. Now you can find a lot of the different stuff that you're looking for, all the different genres, first-person shooters, RPGs, open world, all these different other games that are AAA games on the Switch. And I just, man, to come onto the store on Thursday and drop 10 or 12 independent titles, I just feel like those games are in a lot of trouble this week.
Yeah, and I think, like I was alluding to, part of this is just everybody's like, all right, these independent titles, they're selling on the Switch. Let's get our game on the Switch as fast as possible. And everybody's thinking the same exact thing. So everybody's coming out at the same time, and there's only so much time to go around playing these games. So some of these have to fall by the wayside.
And who knows? I mean, maybe they are doing really well. I mean, look at 10 Tons. They've put something out every week for the last 3 months. So obviously they're seeing something good about it. So there you go.
Yeah.
What do I know? Maybe they're selling like crazy. All right, so we're going to jump into the news. And obviously we talked about it a moment ago, but we're going to start everything off with Destiny 2, as it should be. I mean, that really is how we should do the news every week, just Destiny 2 at the start. But
I agree.
Destiny 2 had a kind of a weird week this week. First, it started off where, actually 2 weeks ago, during the Thanksgiving week, they had another stream where they talked about the public events, including one of the most elaborate public events I've ever seen. I mean, it's the most elaborate public event. It might be one of the most elaborate events, period, in Destiny 2 when this all... once Curse of Osiris drops this week. Mm-hmm. This thing has multiple stages. You're accessing areas on Mercury that you can't access any other time, only during this public event. And it sounds like it's going to be very elaborate. There's going to be a lot of stuff you have to figure out on your own. They didn't show us a whole lot in the stream, but dude, initial thoughts on that public event, I was blown away. I was like, this looks absolutely nuts.
Yeah, I mean, it looked like a lot of fun. You've got the launch pads set up around these different areas in Mercury, so you're kind of taking out a group of enemies, getting some type of a key or something from the boss level character that comes out, and then you kind of jump into the portal and shoot off into one of the other areas in the level. Yeah. And then it's a tiered event. There's enemies you need to kill, and then there's different things different orbs or whatever that you need to gather and put into the receptacle or whatever. So yeah, it's a very, like you said, just elaborate event. Looks like it's going to be a lot of fun to get in there and give it a whirl. But yeah, it's not your typical just shoot a couple enemies and then you're done event. There's a lot going on here, a lot of moving parts.
Yeah, that was really impressive to see. I'm excited to try that out. We also got to see a little bit of the Infinite Forest, Ben. What was your initial thoughts on what we got from the Infinite Forest?
I mean, I think it looks really interesting, man. The Infinite Forest is something that, both of us are really excited to see more of coming out of the initial reveal of Curse of Osiris. So we got to see a little bit into the future of Mercury. This the sun is burned out. It's a very dark and dreary place. So I love the idea that there's different time periods that we can visit through the Infinite Forest, through the Vex reality machine on Mercury. And just getting that one little taste of the future, I thought was exciting. Can't wait to see what happens with the past and with the modified version of the present. Like we know in the past, we're gonna have like some of those precursor Vex to have to deal with. So they're gonna come onto the scene, and we got a little bit of a glimpse about how the stage is going to change each time you go through it. We didn't really see a lot of that on the stream, but we knew that the path that we were watching there is not the path that we're going to experience when we get to the future version of Mercury. There's going to be a different randomized layout for us. So that's it's really cool to know that that's going to constantly change to keep you on your toes.
Yeah, so I mean, we got a lot of good stuff from that stream. And then, things kind of went a little downhill for Destiny. Kind of hit some bumps in the road. And the first of them involved the XP system. And I don't even think I noticed this, but it's something that people kind of discovered this past week, especially when the clarion calls kicked in. But Bungie has announced that it is going to change Destiny 2, how Destiny 2 handles experience points. This move comes in response to players who have been raising questions about it over recent days, with growing consensus that the system was rigged. For a while after starting a new character in Destiny 2, experience points are what you use to level up. You get more XP, your level climbs. You get new abilities, the usual. Once you've played a few hours and hit the soft level cap of 20, however, XP takes on a different role. You still get XP, but instead of leveling up, each time you fill your experience bar, you get a bright engram. Bright engrams are Destiny 2's versions of like loot boxes. Each one contains a few randomized cosmetic items like emotes, ships, and ornaments for your gear. You can also purchase bright engrams for real money in the game's Eververse microtransaction store. And now take this XP thing that they discovered and everything that's going on in Battlefield 2. Everyone started to throw up red flags like, "Hey, how dare you? Are you guys trying to cheat us into trick us into buying these Eververse bright engrams?" But basically, last weekend during Destiny 2, when the Clarion Call event was going on, this gave bonus XP to players when they were joined by at least one of their clanmates in the wake of that event. Some players noticed that the longer they played, the slower they progress, despite the fact that they were repeating the same activities. The first time a player would earn 5,000 XP, they'd see a large chunk of that XP bar fill up. The second or third, or even the 15th time they earned the same number of XP, the bar would get a much smaller chunk. So people were kind of up in arms, going, "What's going on here? Why is this happening?" And while here's what Destiny had to say. This is what the developer Bungie had to say in response. "We've seen community discussion around XP gained in Destiny. After reviewing our data, we agree that the system is not performing the way we'd like it to. Today, we'd like to describe what's going on under the hood and talk about what you can expect going forward when it comes to earning XP in Destiny 2. Currently, XP will scale when playing longer or fixed duration activities like Crucible competitive multiplayer matches and the Leviathan Raid. And XP will scale down when playing activities that can be quickly, repeatedly chained, like grinding public events. We are not happy with the results, and we've heard the same from the community. Effective immediately, we are deactivating this system. As a result, players will see XP earn rates change for all activities across the board, but with all values being displayed consistently in the user interface. Over the course of the next week, we will be watching and reviewing XP game data to ensure that these changes meet our expectations, as well as yours. Any additional updates to the system will be communicated to you via our official channels." So, boys, what was your take on this, man? This was kind of strange that there was this weird XP glitch, and as people are playing the same events over and over again, they're noticed they're not getting quite as much XP as before, and that can be a very frustrating for a game that revolves so much around grinding and whatnot.
Yeah, I obviously didn't know anything like this was going on. I certainly wouldn't have noticed it. I probably would have never noticed it if somebody else didn't. But somebody noticed it, brought it to Bungie's attention. They immediately deactivated it and went to work on changing the system. So, there are some people crying foul that Bungie had more nefarious deeds in mind, like they wanted to slow your XP in order to purchase bright engrams and whatnot. But I'm gonna take them at face value here that they had a system in place that they thought would scale so that people wouldn't just spam, certain easy to do activities or easier to do activities in order to build up their XP really quick in lieu of doing some of the more challenging stuff to get the higher level XP boosts or whatnot. And it's just not working the way that it should have been, or maybe it is working the way they intended it to, but it's not. The results weren't what they expected. So whatever the case may be, they've deactivated that. They still have to fix this. I don't believe this has been fixed in the game yet. They just deactivated the scaling part of it, but the actual XP gains aren't where they need to be right now. So that's something that Bungie's going to get in there and work out. So I mean, I like that they came out and kind of took care of it right away and kind of faced it head on, and that's kind of where we're at right now. We're just moving towards the next phase of that solution. But like I said, I'm gonna take them at face value on that, and hasn't derailed me too much. Like I said, I didn't even know this was going on. So
I had no idea as well. And so now we had this outcry. You had the community upset about this, and in the weeks leading up to this, the Curse of Osiris, there's been a lot of talk amongst the Destiny community that maybe the focus on casual gamers has hurt this game for the more hardcore audience. I like it. Listening to the Bungie podcast this week, they kind of talked about how they kind of like group the Destiny community in different groups on there, and they talk about the first group are the
tourists.
The tourists. These are the people that show up once in a while, play for a little bit, and then they kind of go do something else. They're not like always in there. And then there's the collectors. The ones that like to kind of go in there and try to collect stuff, they collect all the items, and then that kind of is what they're looking for, just collecting as many items as that they can. And then you had the last group. What was it again?
The hobbyists.
The hobbyists. Now, these are the guys and girls that are very much like us, that we want to play Destiny 2. We want Destiny 2 to be the game that, okay, look, it's League Night Monday, it's League Night Tuesday, it's League Night Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, and so on. Like, you just want to play Destiny 2. And the one thing that they were on that podcast, it was Luke Smith, Mark Noseworthy, and Eric Osborne, and they were talking about, and the reason that they feel that is a very important element to focus on is because right now there's Destiny 1 obviously was a huge game, and the focus there, the one thing that everyone loves about Destiny, the things that we love about Destiny here at Short Pause, is because it brought a lot of people together. It brought you, me, Frankie, and Bender all together. That's where we met all these guys, and that's where we developed those friendships. And the biggest thing that those guys at Bungie are worried about right now is because with Destiny 2, with the lack of end game content, of stuff to do, reasons to go in and play, you've got these people that have developed all these friendships over the years, and Destiny 2 comes out and everyone's going hard at first, but after a couple months later, end game content isn't where it needs to be. You've got these people who have been playing this game together for so long, and their friendships they've created, you got their friends going to play other games, and they're kind of getting away from that, and that's something that Bungie absolutely does not want to have happen, because that's what Destiny is all about. Bringing people together, having fun, playing together, creating friendships, developing long-lasting friendships, and they feel like right now at this point they're kind of in danger of losing it. That's always been the big crux, the big plus about Destiny, and that's a little bit in danger right now, and that's something that they noticed, and that's something they're trying to address right now. And we're going to kind of talk about what they're doing, what Bungie is going to try to do to kind of keep people invested more, keep people more interested in playing, give people reasons to hop in there and play. But
and I think it was Mark Noseworthy on that podcast, which is an excellent podcast. If you haven't listened to it, you should definitely go and check it out. It's a very candid discussion from the some of the brightest minds behind Destiny 2 about what they think about the game at this point and how they share a lot of what's being said in the community about how it's not as easy as you think to update the game and the process to kind of do that. I thought that was really interesting, where they talk about, when you have a studio of this scale, you have a studio that's, 700-800 people, and you want to change something in a game that's always online, that's constantly evolving. It's like it's not as simple as just you flick the switch and that thing changes. For some stuff it might be, but for a lot of stuff it's like, all right, well, if we change this in the game, then we got to go and talk to the audio team, and they got to know what's going on with this. And then we got to go talk to the live team, and they got to know what's going on with this. And then we got to go talk to the art director, and then it's like there's tons and tons of groups and departments and people that work on this game. So it's a very big event every time you want to change something in a game like Destiny. So I thought that was really interesting to hear them discuss that and how that all works. But like I was saying, Noseworthy, I think it was him that mentioned that he appreciates the candor and the just the passion from the Destiny community, because at the end of the day he feels like it's coming from a very real place. Like, these people are legitimately like, hey, I have friends and these it seems strange to talk about this, but they're we have these real friendships that we have over the Destiny, over a game. There's these real friendships, like you said, that are in danger of either falling apart or not being as strong as they once were, because the same drive and just constant need to play Destiny is not there right now with Destiny 2. So he was saying he feels like it's just coming from a very human place, where people are they just want to play this game with their friends. They want to play it all the time. And I totally understand that. At the end of the day, man, Destiny 2 is a game I want to play all the time as well. I seriously would just like to play that game every day if I could. Would just like to come down here and play stuff. And I think I mentioned this before, but that's kind of what we're wrestling with right now. At the end of Destiny 1 was kind of that game at the end. Once you got the Age of Triumph, that was a game you could pretty much play every day. There was always something to do. There was many, many different ways to earn things at the end of Destiny 1. There was a whole wealth of raids, a whole wealth of strikes that you had access to. There was tons and tons of loot, and you were always in search of the god roll and trying to get the best version of the weapon. So there was always something you could work towards in Destiny 1. So at the end of that game, it was in a very, very healthy place. And when we started Destiny 2, we kind of go back to square one. And they mentioned it on that podcast too. They kind of, I forgot what the term that they used, but they kind of they overestimated, so to speak, the impact that the kind of catering toward the casual audience was going to have on the game. So they succeeded in many respects in making a game that was more accessible for people, but as we get a couple months into Destiny 2 here, we're in a situation where, like you mentioned, those hobbyists, those people that want Destiny 2 to be a lifestyle, they are not being serviced properly right now. And those are the people that, much like we talked about with the hardcore with Nintendo, with the Wii U, they had to get the hardcore back with the Switch, and that's what they did. Those are the people that sustain your game. The hobbyists are the people that sustain Destiny for the long haul. And without those people evangelizing the game, without those people streaming the game, without those people constantly talking about the game and constantly playing the game, you lose some of your audience with Destiny. So Bungie basically was like, all right, we got to get back to the hobbyists. We got to focus on these guys. We got to give them what they want. We got to kind of beef up the game. And, I think they have a good plan for it moving forward.
And it's funny, we were talking about earlier today about, what our plans are for the next couple of weeks, playing games, getting caught up in the backlog. And I told you, I was like, yeah, I'm cool with Wednesday being my Destiny 2 day, play with you guys, go through the milestones and whatnot. And it kind of hit me. I was like, that is kind of weird that I would say, yeah, I'm cool with Wednesday being my Destiny 2 day. Because in Destiny 1, every day was a Destiny day.
Yeah,
I wanted to play every single day, and I wonder if subconsciously I was like, man, maybe Destiny 2 is a lot lighter than I think it is, because I'm content with just playing on Wednesday. That's not how we were with Destiny 1. That's for damn sure. And I mean, I know I'm different than you. I know you still find a lot to do. I know you enjoy playing Destiny 2 every day. But for myself, I missed a lot of games because of Destiny 1. And I wasn't happy about it, but at the same time, I was happy because I'm playing Destiny and I'm having a good time with my friends. Mm-hmm. Now I'm like, okay, I just want to play Destiny 2 on Wednesday nights, and I don't mind that I'm playing, other games on these days. So, yes, obviously there's something there that's missing because you and I both know if it was where it needed to be, it wouldn't be just a Wednesday night thing.
Yeah. Yeah, there would be it would be a Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday thing.
Yeah,
so
exactly.
There would be a lot going on every day of the week. So yeah, like as it is right now, like we can hop in there one day of the week and we can basically accomplish what we need to accomplish for the week, and then we can move on. Obviously,
go ahead.
I was gonna say, obviously, there's still things we need to do with the raid, and that's something I'm still waiting with bated breath to get in there and tackle this thing. So there's other stuff we can do with that we still have to do, but for the most part, like we can hop in there on a Wednesday, and for the most part, we can clean up most of the stuff we need to do in the week. Maybe you have the Crucible to do another day, but that only takes a few minutes, and then you've pretty much gotten all like the good gear that you can get for the week. Because the only real way to get any decent gear in the game is to get the powerful engrams,
the milestones. Yes.
Yeah, and
you can hammer out the Crucible one in like 4 or 5 matches if you play good enough and you win big. You can crush the flashpoints in 4 if you get the joint or the heroic versions.
Yeah.
And then you get in the clan XP included with all those. So I mean, you don't have to really worry about monitoring that one. And then if you hammer out the Nightfall, and I mean, you can literally get that all done in 4 hours if you're really trying hard at it. And that right there is just not where it needs to be. That's not where Destiny needs to be. I want to be able to be like, man, all right, guys, we can't get it all tonight. Let's get back here tomorrow night and maybe Friday if we need to. That's where I want to be with my Destiny 2 endgame content. I don't mind that I can have it done on Wednesday night, but that's not Destiny to me. You know what I'm saying? I shouldn't be able to hammer everything out in one night.
Yeah. And not to beat a dead horse here, man, but like at the end of Destiny 1, like when the week restarted, you were almost like overwhelmed. Mm-hmm. You were like, man, like where am I gonna start? Like,
right.
all right, I'm gonna hop into the strike playlist. I'm gonna go through here. I'm gonna get the chest and the things that are associated with that. Okay, got that knocked out. All right, let's go do a Crucible match here. Then, all right, we've got 4 different raids we've got to try and accomplish during the week. I got to do this heroic story mission and get the stuff that's associated with that. I've got to go look for this on this planet. So there was so many different avenues and things to do with Destiny 1 to get that like end game content, and that's not there with Destiny 2 right now.
Exactly. And so with all this going on, with all this outrage and this community, this very vocal community, very passionate community, Bungie realized, hey, look, we're not communicating with these people well enough, and they went ahead and just canceled the 3rd stream this week and decided to say, hey, look, we're just going to release a big post telling you what the plan is for Destiny 2 beginning. There's a lot of stuff coming in the next 2 weeks. The 5th and the 12th, we're going to see a lot of big updates to the game that are going to try to appease that hobbyist group, to try to give them what they want. And so we're going to kind of talk about some of the things that we have on the list. But first off, let me read the actual intro to the post and kind of give you an idea of what Bungie is trying to do here. Hey, everyone. With Destiny 2's console and PC launch behind us, we want to take time to talk to you about Destiny 2, specifically where it's at today and where it's going. Our team has been reading feedback and working on updates to improve the game. We've also been reading some tough criticism about our lack of communication, and we agree we need to be more open. Going forward, Destiny 2's post-launch game systems, features, and updates are being designed specifically to focus on and support players who want Destiny to be their hobby, the game they return to, and a game where friendships are made. We want Destiny to be a game that fits into your life, providing you with reasons to log in and play with your friends, clans, and families. We want Destiny to be a world you want to be a part of. A month ago, we published a list of improvements on the blog. Today, we're going to revisit that list and update its status and share some of the work the team is readying for December, January, and beyond. We know it's frustrating when there isn't enough dialogue with the development team. You have our commitment that we're going to do a better job going forward. That was from Luke Smith, a joint statement from Luke Smith and Chris Barrett. And then
Destiny 2's 2 creative directors, basically.
Yeah, basically the two guys that are in charge.
Yeah.
And so then we went down this massive list of just changes that we can expect to see. And we'll kind of go over them briefly. We'll read them off here, and then what we'll do is we'll kind of like pick a couple that stand out to us and the things that we think are really important going forward. So up first, new systems and rewards to give our most engaged players additional optional pursuits, including a new weapon tier, Masterworks, which will feature stat trackers, random rerollable stat bonuses, unique item tooltips, and item detail screens. Improved vendor rewards, adding ways for people to purchase items directly from their legendary shards and tokens, and adding armor ornaments that grant visual permutations of armor as players complete specific challenges. Up next, better incentives for players who complete challenging prestige activities. We're targeting a January update to provide better incentives to complete prestige activities.
Something we still got to try out.
I know, we haven't even tried that yet, but apparently they don't feel like it's kicking out enough.
I officially hit 305 the other day, so I think I'm ready to tackle one of these, man.
Okay, you can carry my soft 302 butt through it, man. I appreciate it. Up next, this is the one that I really like to hear. Battle rewards and replay values for strikes, adventures, and lost sectors. In December, we'll be introducing a heroic strike playlist and more generous strike rewards.
Cannot wait for that.
I know. Rewards for adventures and lost sectors are still on our radar, but we will not be delivered on our December update. Private matches for the Crucible, still targeting early 2018. Expect to have better insight into exact timing in the new year. We are also moving ranked PvP to the top of our priority list for the next year to support the competitive community.
A lot of excitement around that one.
Oh, yeah. Everyone loves ranked PvP, man.
Yeah.
Crucible tuning, like adjusted supremacy scoring and better spawning rules. In December, we will introduce additional updates and bug fixes intended to improve these areas of the Crucible. Better incentives for completing Crucible matches and penalties for quitting competitive games. A quitter penalty system is currently in development, and you can expect an update on the deployment of this system in the new year. Continued improvements to Iron Banner and Faction rallies, including uniqueness of rewards. The next Iron Banner and Faction rally will introduce improvements in both these areas. Changes to the mod economy, more interesting and impactful. The Gunsmith will have some updates to how mods are acquired. We are exploring more updates to the system in the new year. Ongoing improvements to exotics, including adjustments to reduce instances of duplication.
Yes.
We plan to tune underperforming exotics and will continue to make targeted updates and improvements. Duplication protection will be added to exotics in the new year. New ways to spend surplus currency and materials. Look at those legendary shards. Players will be able to spend tokens and legendary shards on vendor inventory. Xur will have new items as well. And then an emote interface that allows players to equip salty, spicy ramen, 6-shooter, and flip out all at the same time. Now, boys, we've got this list of stuff. There's a couple things sprinkled in there that they'll be addressed in the new year, but immediate things that are happening. What's one of the standouts for you, man? I'm pretty sure you're going to say the ones that I think are standouts, but go ahead.
First one for me is Masterworks, dude. Masterworks weapons. So being able to just have a more interesting loot pool. So to be able to have like this small pool of rerollable stats that you'll be able to get for your weapons. So the example they give here is Uriel's Gift, which is a boss auto rifle in this game that if you haven't been killed by it in the Crucible, you have not been playing the Crucible.
I use that baby all day, man.
Yeah. So they show the Masterwork version of this weapon, and with the Masterworks versions, there's some cool stuff that happens. First and foremost, it's a new version of the legendary weapons. So there's a Masterworks version of the legendary weapons. And with the Masterworks weapon, you'll be able to track and display the number of kills with that weapon. And you can choose between like your total count or your Crucible only count.
Oh, you might want to choose. You might want to choose your total count. I'm just saying.
Yeah, I'll definitely be on the total count. Generate orbs for you and your allies on multi kills with a gun.
Wow.
Just a standard legendary gun. That's huge. That could be huge in completing like Nightfalls. Like just think about generating that many more orbs, getting your super 1 or 2 more times over the course of an activity. Like that could be huge if everybody's using a Masterworks weapon.
Can you imagine if somebody's using that and you're like doing I think it's the Sevathun's song.
Yeah.
And there's that one section underground where there's like just dozens of cursed thralls coming at you. Yeah. And you use your weapon and you kill a ton of them. How many orbs are you going to produce on that?
Yeah. Yeah.
Woo!
Exactly. That's that could be huge. Or when you're, when you're in a Cabal mission and you're getting run down by like war beasts,
yes,
you just annihilate a whole group of those. Like that could be huge. Also with Masterworks, it adds weapon stat bonuses that are selected randomly from a small pool and rerollable. So in this example here with Uriel's gift, they have a reload speed buff on this gun as part of the Masterwork weapon. So we don't know what the other options are going to be in this pool. There's also a 10 attached to this buff as well. And it's unclear if that 10 applies to the attack power of the weapon or if this 10 applies to the stat line for the weapon. So if this is applied, like, does this improve the reload speed? Because there's obviously that's a category on the weapon or a trait on the weapon. So does that 10 apply?
I was going to say, normally when you change like the gun's stats, like the actual things, it would show like a red or green line to show if it's either improving or increasing. Now, they're just hovering over this, so maybe that's why we're not seeing the increase. But I got to believe the weapons, if our light levels are going up to 335, I'm assuming, and it looks like it can put on one Masterwork item. I won't be surprised if it adds 10 to your light level on that particular weapon.
Yeah, wouldn't be surprised by that either. So we'll have to see how that. But they do say that 335 is the soft cap, or 330 is the soft cap.
Right.
335 with mods is the max cap. So would they have, like, would you only be able to level the gun up to 320? And then you have to have a Masterwork and a mod on it to get to 335. That would seem a little strange to me. It would seem like they would just have the mod as the bonus power source on there, and that's why I'm leaning towards the Masterwork value applying towards the actual value of the gun's trait that's listed on there.
Right. Now, do you think if we're looking at this Masterwork weapon and it says reload speed, do you think we can expect the other ones one will be improved handling, one will be improved stability, range, and impact based on those things? Or do you think we'll see stuff like, I'm trying to think, for example, something that's not listed there, add auto fire or full auto to a scout rifle? Like, do you think we'll see? Like, do you think we'll have that wide range? I mean, they said it'd be a small pool of things. So, I mean, obviously, I don't know what a small pool is, but I mean, 5 would be a small pool in my book if I'm looking at this here. But will there be other stuff that you can add to these weapons?
Yeah, it's an interesting thought, and when they say small pool, we don't know what that means. So just at first blush, when they say small pool, like, I would think that maybe it just applies to the baseline stats that are in this gun. But I was watching a video from Rick Kakis, and he was talking about, like, what if there's reload speed handling and that kind of stuff, and there's a small group of that, but what if you get different values for each of these Masterwork rolls as well? Like, what if you have a 10 or an 8 reload speed, or a 5 where you can get up to 20? Like, does that make the chase that much more? And to me, that's an easy way to kind of extend the chase for the perfect gun, is to enhance those values and have different values that can apply to each of these stats as well.
And that would add to the risk-reward of the whole re-rolling stuff. Obviously, if you re-roll stuff, there has to be a risk involved. And I would say going from a 10 reload speed down to 1 would be a pretty devastating risk.
Yeah.
But, again, like you said, that kind of adds to the chase. You're going to want to keep going out and doing more and more and more so you can find that 10.
Yeah.
That's good. That's a good point. That's interesting. That'd be cool if that's what they do with that.
Yeah, so I thought that was a good idea as well, so hopefully that's what they're leaning towards. Other stuff with the Masterworks here, Masterworks drop from any source of legendary weapons for characters above 250 power. So once you're above 250, anytime you can get a legendary from something, whether it's an engram, an activity, whatever it is, you have a chance to get a Masterworks weapon once you hit over 250. Unwanted Masterworks can be dismantled into materials that can upgrade an existing legendary into a Masterwork.
I like that.
Obviously, a lot of us have a large collection of legendary weapons right now, and some of those legendary weapons we really enjoy, and I'm sure we'd want to get a Masterworks version of that, so having an avenue for that is awesome. Raid and Trials of the 9 weapons will have a very high chance to be Masterworks. So that's encouraging to know as well. When you go through these ultra hard activities, if you finally do get to a chest or you achieve something and you get an item, it's got a very high chance to be the Masterworks version of that item. We have future plans to extend Masterworks to other gear. So to me, that means the armor will see Masterworks versions as well, and expose your kill counts in more places. Example, the Crucible kill screen. So that so immediately right off the bat, Brent, Masterworks was something that stuck out to me. What about you?
And just so everyone knows, Masterworks, the legendary weapon Masterworks will go live on December 12th. They won't be a part of the December 5th update, but they will go live a week later on December 12th. So really looking forward to that. I think that one looks awesome. For myself, the other one that was a real big standout was the better rewards and replay values for strikes, adventures, and lost sectors. Obviously, we're getting the heroic strikes playlist. I would like to see a milestone for something along those lines. Doesn't have to even be powerful gear. You could make it just a chance at a legendary Masterwork weapon, or give me a bunch of these tokens that I'm going to be able to use at other vendors. Make the heroic strike list a milestone of some sort. The more on that milestone list, the better, because that's going to be like, well, man, I don't think we can get 10 heroic strikes done tonight. Let's go tonight and let's go tomorrow night. There you go. Now you're starting to increase the amount of stuff to do. So I would like to see that. But the thing that stands out to me, and obviously we're not going to see about this until probably January, February, but the focus on the lost sectors and the adventures. Because the lost sectors before Destiny 2, that was one of the things they talked about that I was like, oh my God, that sounds incredible. And they are cool, but they're a little shallow now that we've gone through the game, we played through them all. I've never ever said to myself, hey, let's go in there real quick. It's just, when we had the faction rally, they had a couple of times where you go in there and destroy that equipment or whatever. But I don't have any other incentive to go in. And to be honest with you, in my opinion, I don't think too many of the lost sectors are really just like these amazing things. I mean, you just walk into a tunnel, yes, and here's the enemies, kill the bad guy. Cool. Yeah. If you want me to keep doing that, give me incentive to do it, and they're doing that by better rewards and replay value for these lost sectors and adventures. Yeah. That kind of stuff will get me to go back in there if there is stuff worth getting in there. So that's one thing I was really happy to see, because the lost sectors I won't chalk them up as a disappointment. I will say that I feel like they could have been better. Maybe that's something they'll improve, and when we get Mercury or any other new planets in the future, maybe they'll make them a little bit more elaborate, like we see them doing with the public events. Maybe some of these lost sectors will get a little bit more elaborate down the line. So now that we're getting better rewards there, I'm excited about that, because now I have a reason to go back in and do those things.
Yeah, my vision for Lost Sectors is that we'll get a heroic version of a Lost Sector.
That'd be sweet.
Maybe something that we have to trigger, and then we'll get a proper boss type of character that will come on the scene. Because when we originally talked about Lost Sectors, I imagined us going through one of these labyrinths, and then you get to the end and there's like a decent character at the end for you to fight against. Essentially though, it's just a yellow barred enemy, and that's all that it is. But I expected to fight one of these massive Vex Minotaurs or something like that. Some of these higher level bosses that are roaming around the open world patrol areas. Even something like that would have been cool at the end of a Lost Sector. So I think if they can figure out a way to just do a heroic version of a Lost Sector, and maybe there's something you got to do to trigger it, and you get a proper boss character at the end, and you have a chance to get some really good loot because of that. Yeah. That would be ideal, I think.
And make it a worthy adversary. Make it a good fight, because then you can justify giving out the big rewards, the good stuff. I mean, make us earn it. I don't mind having to earn stuff. I don't mind having to grind. If we go in there and we get our ass kicked because we played stupid, well, hey, that's on us. I don't mind that. That's what I want from Destiny. I know I'm in a minority there. There's a lot of people that feel like, they just want to go in and play, and I get that. I like getting my ass kicked sometimes, and I like it. And the perfect example is the Nightfall. When we go in and do the Nightfall and we get our asses kicked at first, man, we're pissed. And then we sit down and we talk things out real quick. We remember the things that gave us issues. We plan our attack. We plan our characters out accordingly, and then we go in there and we run it through and we get the W. So I love that part of Destiny. I would love to see that implemented in other areas outside of the Nightfall.
Yeah, and I don't think you're in the minority there, man. I think people want a challenge in Destiny, and if people just want to kick back and go through a strike, there's a strike playlist for that. If they don't want to be, challenged, so to speak, they just want to go in there and shoot some enemies. There's experiences for that type of gamer. So I think the majority of the Destiny crowd, the hardcore Destiny crowd, they want to be challenged. They love the raids. They love the Skolas and the Prison of Elders. They love these high-end nightfalls, that kind of stuff, these high-end activities that really challenge them. I think they get off on that stuff. And that's the thing with the strikes right now, man. There's no viable path to get anything decent from a strike unless you're doing the Nightfall version of it. The basic strike playlist, it gives you nothing of any value at all. Right. And yeah, it's fun to go and play through the strikes, but they're very easy. They're not challenging. You don't get any loot that's worth anything. So ultimately, they're pointless. So the heroic strike playlist is very needed right now, and I really hope that they give us some rewards that make going through there worth it. Because yeah, right now the only time that I ever want to do a strike is when it's a Nightfall. But I love strikes. I love doing the strikes. They're like a cornerstone of Destiny, and hearing Bungie talk about them in recent weeks, it sounds like they understand that. They understand strikes are a core part of the Destiny experience. So I expect when this heroic playlist comes out to really change the face of the way strikes are played. And I still haven't seen this PlayStation exclusive strike, man. Not one time. Is it? The Lake of Shadows. I still haven't played this or experienced it at all.
I'm trying to remember what the Lake of Shadows even is. I don't even know if I've done it. I mean, I might not have, but I don't.
I've never seen it. Never seen it one time. Never popped up in a playlist. Never been a Nightfall. Nothing.
Do you even know who the boss is? What the boss is?
I don't know anything about it. I just know that there's an exclusive strike, and I haven't played it.
Huh. Yeah, now that I think about it, I don't know if I have either, but I don't really dabble in the strike playlist. I just do the Nightfall, and see that again. That's a problem. Yeah. Because we none of us we go into that milestone thing. None of those milestones say anything about strike list. Guess what? Not interested. Yeah. And that's a big part of the problem, and that's what Bungie's trying to address.
Yeah, and they have to give us some kind of a decent reward too, even if it's an overabundance of tokens that we can trade in for an engram or just something. Get a Masterworks engram, something. There's got to be something that's worth it at the end of. There's got to be a pot of gold at the end of the rainbow. Right. when Bungie did that, when they did that second Curse of Osiris stream, and they talked about that public event and that it was going to be rewarding or whatnot. By the time they got to the end of that elaborate public event, they got one blue item and one token, and that's when people were like, dude, come on,
really?
Man.
That's it? Yeah. Don't get skimpy on me.
Yeah. So that was that sent people off the deep end. They're like, oh, are you kidding me? After all that, we open a chest and get one blue item and a token.
Yeah.
It's come on, man.
Yeah, that's pretty weak. And then the other item that stood out to me was Xur.
That was where I was going next.
Yeah, so we'll finish. We'll talk about Xur here. But he's going to have some new offerings for players collecting exotics. And first, every week you'll be able to acquire one of the new faded engrams using legendary shards that will decrypt as exotics that aren't already in your collection.
That's huge.
So that's huge. So every week you'll be able to acquire one of these faded engrams using legendary shards, which isn't cheap, by the way.
Not according to this picture.
97 shards.
Whew.
That's a beefy. I look at this dude here, and it says he has 777 shards. I'm like, how do you keep that many around? I am rarely, honestly, I'm rarely over 100. Rarely over 100.
I think I probably have 180 or something right now.
Man, I'm just pissing mine away like crazy. But so now I'm gonna have to be a little bit more frugal with them. But So, and then along with this faded engrams, a simpler 3 of coins that boosts exotic drop rates from any source for 4 hours. So, 3 of coins are making 3 coins are making a return. A couple things about it: no obscure stacking mechanics or need to reapply before every boss. So that means we don't have to burn 3 of them at one time, right?
Yep.
And then lastly, these cost legendary shards, and you can have as many as you like. We don't have a cost down there. It doesn't look like they're hovering over it, but it's nice to see the 3 coins returning. And then again, for those collectors out there, every week you'll be able to drop 77 or 97 shards to get a faded engram, which will guarantee you an exotic that is not already in your collection, and that is sweet.
I hope they make sharding exotics more lucrative as well. When you,
what is it, 5? You get 5 legendary shards.
Yeah, when you shard a regular legendary item, you get 4, right? Or is it 3?
It might be 3, dude.
It's either 4 or 3. And when you shard an exotic, you just get 5 exotic shards. Or
I feel like that should at least
shards.
be 10. I feel like that should at least be 10.
Yeah, if you're going to give us shards, like, give us a good amount of shards. I'd like to see them give us something. Maybe you dismantle it and it turns into, 10 legendary shards and a 3 of coins or something like that. Just give us something. But I love that you can just pop a 3 of coins and it's active for 4 hours, and you'll be able to boost exotic drop rates and whatever you're doing. So that's awesome.
And that's awesome. You don't have to reapply before every boss. So, I mean, it is 4 hours. So if you want to just sit there and do strike missions or do nightfalls for 4 hours straight, you don't have to keep burning those. You don't have to keep burning after every boss you beat. 4 hours nonstop, do your thing.
Yeah. One of the other things I want to mention here, Brent, is the mod economy. So
yes,
I've voiced my displeasure with the mods to you.
Yeah.
I'm still, to this day, trying to get a kinetic mod for my gun.
Really?
I cannot for the life of me get a kinetic mod from the gunsmith.
Oh, that's right. That's right. I got 3, but go ahead.
That is weird, yeah.
I think during one stream, I think I burned up a bunch. I ended up getting 2 of them during that stream. I was like, oh, I got another one.
just a travesty, man. So I really hope that kinetic mods are going to be a part of this, and it sounds like they will be. So
yes.
This is coming on December 5th. So Banshee has some updates on the weapon and armor mod front. For players wanting to clear some mod inventory space, rare quality mods will dismantle into gunsmith materials, finally, and have a chance to produce legendary quality mod components. That's what I want. I have just an inventory full of rare mods that I need to get rid of that I can't do anything with. So being able to have them produce mod components or gunsmith materials works for me. For players chasing specific legendary mods, including legendary kinetic mods, hint, hint, nudge, nudge, Banshee will offer a selection of specific legendary mods for direct purchase with a selection that will rotate daily and cost legendary shards and mod components. That's what I need, man. Because I'm going on 2 months now trying to find a damn kinetic mod. So if I can just go to Banshee on the day that he's selling it and get some of that, that would make my life a hell of a lot easier. Also, for players chasing a world legendary or looking for masterworks, Master Raul will sell some of his rumored hoard of legendary engrams for legendary shards. So Raul getting in on the economy as well.
Yeah, so those are the things that really stand out. I mean, these are a lot of these good items, and these are quality of life things, and these are things that are going to keep people coming back for more. And I think this is the stuff that we have listed here that are going to be hitting on the 5th and the 12th. Make sure you go over to Bungie's website. I mean, they've got a bunch of stuff listed there. Mm-hmm. And these are the things that we want. These are the things that Destiny needs in order to maintain an active community, to keep people invested until these DLC drops. Because the last thing they want is this to be a reoccurring thing where, okay, Crystal of Osiris is out, everyone grinds, everyone does everything, gets everything, and then they're done. And then you're going to have fewer people come back because eventually you're just going to start getting more like, why am I paying for this content that doesn't last me more than, a week? If I can blast through everything and I have everything done, why am I paying for this content? Yes, it's a fun game, but people want to get that grind in. And if they're not getting that grind out of the stuff they're buying, they will find it somewhere else. And so I'm glad that that they're making these changes. Whether or not they work, we have no idea. But on paper, these things sound really, really good, boys.
Dude, this is the crazy thing about Destiny. It's What other game do you know that you could play? Like, there's people that have played this game for hundreds of hours already. They've played Destiny 2 for 200 hours since it came out in early September. Like, what other game do you play for 200 hours and you're like, man, I feel shafted because I can't play this anymore right now. So, like, this is the gift and the curse of Destiny for Bungie. Like, this is the game that they've created. They've created a game, like they said, where they have this large group of what they call hobbyists that want Destiny to be a lifestyle. Like, they've played this game for hundreds of hours, and they're hitting a wall now. And they want to play this game for hundreds of hours more, and Bungie needs to figure out a way to give them that. That's what they want. And I understand that because I'm in the same boat. Like, I just want to play this game. I want to have a bunch of stuff to do. I want to come down here and have 25 other games I have to play. But when I sit down and turn on my PS4, I'm like, all right, let's play Destiny. Like, that's the experience I want, and I'm okay with that. I'm okay if I don't get to play every game because I'm playing Destiny. That's totally okay with me because I have a lot of fun with this game. And, you know, and I've said this before as well, Brent, but the Destiny we played when it came out on September 6th, and the Destiny we're playing today, and the Destiny we're playing 3, 6, 12 months from now is going to be a different Destiny. This game's constantly evolved. It will be constantly evolving, and we hope that it evolves for the better. But that's part of the fun to me about being along for the ride, about being there at ground zero and being a part of this community and just being there every step of the way as this game changes and evolves. I've always thought that was a really fun thing about Destiny, so I'm looking forward to seeing where that goes from here. And like you said, man, there's a bunch of other stuff that they're updating with the 5th and the 12th and into the future. And we didn't even talk about what they're doing with the factions, what they're doing with the armor, the armor upgrades, the more customization for the armor, the fact that you're going to be able to use legendary shards to buy stuff from the vendors, and they're going to have a selection of items you can get from them, and it won't just be like faction rally stuff. So they're taking strides, and they're adding a lot of stuff to the game, and I think this is going to be a much different game come Tuesday when Season 2 kicks off, and we see a lot of this stuff get updated. Looking forward to it, man.
Yeah, absolutely. So, good luck on Bungie. They got a lot to do. You know, they got a busy future. But as long as they keep listening to the community, which they're very, very, very good at, and as long as they make a better effort at being open and transparent with that community and keeping us updated, I think they're going to have a lot of success going forward. This is a good start, though, right here.
Yeah, and I thought this week was like a really good response from them.
Exactly.
Like, this is, I think, what people wanted to see. So they came out. They immediately put a stop to the XP thing. They canceled the live stream. They just canceled it all together. They were gonna show off the armor and the new weapons that are available like they typically do when they're doing a DLC. But they canceled that in favor of putting out a detailed blog post about what they're working on for the future of Destiny and what's in store in the very near future here with the start of Season 2. And to do a podcast where they got some of their top dogs from Destiny 2 to go on there and really candidly talk about the development of Destiny 2, where the game's at and where the game is going in the future. So I think the response was adequate, and I was a fan of the way that they did things this week. Real quick too, Brent, we should probably mention they talk about the XP in this update as well. We should probably just mention that real quick to the audience as well. So as a part of this big update where they're talking about what's going on with Season 2, they also addressed what's going on with the XP. So I'll read this real quick here. Last weekend, we disabled a scaling mechanism that adjusted XP gains up and down without reflecting those adjustments in the UI. Our intention was to keep slower-paced activities as rewarding as high-intensity grinding without confusing variations in displayed XP values. But the silent nature of the mechanic betrayed the expectation of transparency that you have for Destiny 2. We were able to disable the system with a server-side change, but a new solution is now needed to rebalance XP in Destiny 2. We have begun that work, and will continue to provide updates to you about timelines and specifics. The values coded into our website API are being updated today, and may already have been as you read this post, to reflect the removal of this scaling mechanism. In a future update, we intend to link these internal and display-only values together for greater consistency, and to ensure that when changes are made, they are accurately reflected everywhere we report them. We already see that the newly adjusted 160,000 XP per level value means that leveling is too slow for some activities, and we have begun the process of collecting data and recalibrating XP earn rates to improve them as quickly as possible. XP boosts, including both consumable items and passive bonuses like the well-rested 300% bonus, were always applied after this system and never resulted in early slowing of XP. They should be unchanged by the disabling of this system and will continue to provide their stated increase in XP gain. Expect to see a lot of conversation from our team on this front as XP rewards are updated and brought back in line with player expectations. So, that is what's going on with the XP. Like we said, it's being tackled. It's not 100% fixed at this point, but they are dealing with it. So yeah.
Awesome.
It's kind of where we're at.
So yeah, go to the website bungie.net, read the post, listen to the podcast, get caught up, and you'll see that Bungie's listening and they're doing their damnedest to make this the game that we all want it to be. One last thing, Destiny 2 related. Amazon Alexa Ghost Skill comes to Destiny 2. Amazon Alexa devices can now obtain additional functionality through the Destiny 2 Ghost Skill, allowing supported devices to connect with Destiny 2. By enabling the skill, players are able to use real-time voice commands. Boasting over 1,000 custom lines to discover, players can use the Destiny 2 Ghost skill to ask the Ghost to equip certain loadouts, send messages to friends, or even decide what to do next in the game. The Ghost can even share lore about the universe of Destiny 2, all without even booting up the game. A Destiny 2 limited edition Ghost is also coming, and when paired with the Alexa-enabled device, it will confer all the same benefits as the Ghost skill. Both the skill and the physical ghosts are compatible with all versions of Destiny 2. While the Ghost skill is available now, the physical version of Ghost releases on December 19th and is currently available for pre-order. Did you pre-order one?
I did not.
Oh, man. I feel like I need to get on this.
I do, man. It's, what is it, $90?
Ugh! $90, huh?
Man, to have a ghost that you can talk to, though? Like, can
Kinda
you really put a price on that?
I don't think you can. I mean, I feel like they're selling it short for $90. I think they could have done a lot more, but
it looks badass too. Like, it looks, It's a very faithful recreation of a ghost,
and it works just like the Alexa thing does, right?
As far as I know, yeah.
That's awesome. I have an Alexa, but I would like to have a go. Dude, do you know what my wife would do? Because she has this nice little Alexa in her bedroom, and like imagine if she came home one night, she's like Alexa, and it just talks, and all of a sudden she sees a ghost just there blinking and talking.
It's Nolan North talking to her.
Man, she'd be like, "What is this?" I mean, it's a ghost, man.
Yeah, Nolan chimes in like, "You're not Brent," and she's like, "What is going on?
Who are you?" That's awesome. So yeah, give that a look. See, it's available for pre-order now. It'll be out on December 19th. All right, boys, let's try to pull ourselves away from Destiny 2 by going to a break. We've got some new music here from Ruel Ethan, and we'll be back in a few minutes. We got a lot to talk about. And welcome back. Thanks again to Ruel Ethan for producing the music for this podcast. He does the opening, the closing, the music you heard right there. Follow him on Twitter at Ruel Ethan. Check out his music on SoundCloud and iTunes. All right, Mr. Boyce, let's jump into rumor mill. Whole lot of rumors came out this week.
A lot of them.
The biggest might be is this massive leak that points towards a PS4 exclusive Devil May Cry 5. Wow. Hideki Itsuno's secret project for Capcom is the sequel to the original Devil May Cry series, the 5th installment. Internally, it appears to be called Devil May Cry V instead of using the standard numerical system of previous games, much like Metal Gear Solid. So this comes from Resetera, and this from the community resettler member, Son of Sparta. And this is what he had to say. Greetings, everyone. I'm making this post today not as a sole person, but as a part of a community. For quite some time, we, a Devil May Cry community, have been aware of the existence of a new DMC game. After reading Itsuno's plans to unveil his secret project this year, we waited diligently to see what the project was, even though we knew full and well what it actually was. We waited through E3, Tokyo Game Show, Paris Games, and now we are in late November 2017 with no information about his project. We endured through multiple apologies on his part, and we do not in any way blame Itsuno for the current situation. The original plan was to leak this document after PSX Capcom Cup, but details of this document started to spread like wildfire. It was only a matter of time before it got posted in less savory places without context, so we are leaking this earlier than anticipated. And they just have this document with just a ton of information on it. And
it's worth noting real quick too, Brent, that at the top of this piece there's a message here from one of the mods from Zuge, you may know from Twitter.
Yep.
So he said the OP, or the original poster, approached us asking to post this information on Resetera, or Reset Era. I'm not exactly sure how to say this website. This is the one that
Reset Era.
Yeah, Reset Era. This has
it's
sprung
taking
up
the place of NeoGAF, correct?
Yeah, it's sprung up from the ashes of NeoGAF. So this is like kind of like the official replacement for NeoGAF. The OP approached us asking to post this information on Resetera, and we found enough reason to allow it. We'd like to make it clear that this is not an endorsement. The staff cannot verify that all the contents of this leak are accurate. The OP has accepted full responsibility for posting this material, and if it turns out to be a hoax, they have agreed to take a permanent ban.
Wow.
From the forum here. So this is a so Son of Sparta seems very confident in this information. Zuge and the team at Resetera, they found enough reason to allow this post to be on here. If you look at the way these words are chosen here, we found enough reason to allow it. The staff cannot verify that all the contents of this leak are accurate. It doesn't say that the staff could not verify that anything was accurate. So they can verify that all the contents of this leak were accurate. So it seems like, at the very least, the people that run Reset Era, they at least found some kind of credible stuff in this leak. So and obviously this is a very detailed leak, like you said, but just wanted to point that out.
And so we have this document again. Like I said, there's a lot here. I'm not going to go over the whole thing, but there's just things like the game is slated to release sometime in the fiscal calendar year of 2019. That means sometimes between April 2018 and March 2019. The original plan was to release in November of 2018, but the date might have been pushed back to early 2019. Then there's this. There is some form of PlayStation exclusivity involved. Sony is paying for some of the funding for the game, but the extent of it is not known. It could be completely PS4 exclusive, console exclusive, or timed exclusive. If the game is announced publicly, then it will be at a Sony event, which is why many people thought it was going to be at PSX this year. The trailer has been ready for a while now. The initial trailer is 1 minute 50 seconds long. It is mostly focused on story, characters, and cutscenes. A city-like setting is shown in the trailer, not that different from Forge in the City in DMC 4. This is the longest cutscene runtime of any DMC game. On the development team, we got Ruben Langdon is reprising his role as Dante. Johnny Young Bosch is reprising his role as Nero. No word on the actresses who will play Trish and Lady if they will be returning. Characters and story, potentially big spoilers, so we'll probably avoid that one. Gameplay and systems, hard lock on is standard. Console is targeted for 60 frames per second, much like all the previous DMC games. Level design is more open than previous DMC games, but not going into Souls or open world territorial level design. Movement outside of combat has been streamlined to match the open nature of the game. The structure is more open to make the experience more smooth. Immersion is important to the team with this game. Level design and exploration is more similar to Bayonetta, with action set pieces thrown in there, but without the QTEs. There is not a Muso game, but there will be encounters where you are facing more enemies than you're used to in a DMC game.
Yeah, so the Muso games are Dynasty Warriors games. So
right.
This is basically, look, this is not one of those games, but there could be more enemies on screen.
There's a lot of stuff here.
Mm-hmm.
And then a little update at the bottom. PlayStation 4 first, PC later, and this is running on Unreal Engine 4. So now I don't have any experience with the Devil May Cry games. I've never played any of them.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't know what your experience is with this, but or with that franchise. But what's your take of this, man? This Devil May Cry 5. I mean, this is a series that has a pretty big following, a pretty big community. And if this is somehow a PlayStation 4 exclusive, that's a pretty big get for Sony, I'm assuming.
Yeah. Obviously we've seen this relationship with Capcom and Sony with Street Fighter V.
Mm-hmm.
So we've seen something like this happen where they contributed to the development of that game. And now that game was a console exclusive for them. So did they go back to the well with Capcom for this? Like, did they go back and were like, hey, let's try this again with Devil May Cry, a series once again that's long been associated with PlayStation. The original Devil May Cry was a huge series on the PlayStation 2. And the Devil May Cry games are awesome. I mean, they are just action tour de forces. When you think about Bayonetta and games like that, like Devil May Cry is where that formula started. Like, obviously Bayonetta is developed by the same person, but or the same people. But Devil May Cry like paved the way for Bayonetta. And there was, when DMC came out, the Ninja Theory remake of it. It was a really, really fun game that a lot of people love, but it was a polarizing title for some. And there's long been a group of people who have wanted Capcom to go back to the original Dante that they know and love, like the guy with the white hair and just the total badass dude. He's not like emo Dante. They want like the badass white hair Dante. Like, this is the Dante that is in all of their games when he shows up. Like when Dante showed up in PlayStation All-Stars, when Dante showed up in Marvel vs. Capcom, like, he's white-haired badass Dante. So this is like the Dante that people most associate with the franchise and with Capcom. So if they go back to Devil May Cry 5 and they get back into the series with this one, and they go back to the original Dante, and this ends up being a PlayStation exclusive or whatever the case may be, that's huge, man. It's very, very huge. And the fact that we could be seeing this, they mentioned that, that it was originally thought that maybe this would be unveiled at PSX, but now that they've downscaled PSX is here because of the Paris Games Week show, that this is now looking more like an E3 reveal or something along those lines. So very interesting though. But when you see a leak like this, Brent, and you see the amount of detail that's in a post like this, does this make you more liable to believe what's in this content here?
I think it's coupled with that and the fact that you've got people like Zooge in there. These are insiders who do their homework, who are more right than they are wrong when they come to the things that they leak and the things that they hint at. And so we take that into consideration, and you take in, like you said, the amount of detail in this leak that I would be inclined to believe this more than most.
Yeah. And they say on here too, originally Devil May Cry 5 was intended to be announced at PSX, but after receiving feedback on their E3 press conference, Sony decided to scale back on PSX and instead scale up E3 2018.
Oh boy.
Devil May Cry 5 was an unfortunate casualty of this choice, and thus it's unlikely that DMC 5 gets officially revealed in 2017. So obviously coming up we have the Game Awards and PSX, which are are two places where something like this could have been announced and made a huge splash. But if Sony is scaling back and they want, and this game is exclusive, and they want this to be revealed at one of their events, then E3 is the next likely spot where something like this could show up. So it may be, several months before we have any idea if this is valid or not.
And I also wonder if this comes into play with how Sony is trying to avoid announcing games too soon. I mean, yes, fiscal year 2019 isn't that far off, but I mean, it sounds like this is going to be a late 2018, if not an early 2019 title, and we're still in 2017, even when PSX comes around. So if they come out and they talk DMV or DMC 5, and they're like, okay, there's the name, and then it says 2019, immediately people are going to associate the fact that that's 2 years away, and is that really going to be the date? So if they wait until E3 mid-2018 and say, hey, look, this is coming out March 2019, I think that fits into the mold of what Sony's trying to do, is get away from announcing these games way too soon and almost kind of fall into like that Bethesda routine where they're like, okay, look, here's the game, and we'll see you in 6 months. And so, I mean, that I can't help but that maybe is coming into play as well here.
Yeah, and I think you got to find a balance between this stuff. And you mentioned there's been some talk recently. Forgot who it was. I think it was Michael Denny or one of those guys. But yeah, he mentioned that they may have announced some games too early. But I think you've got to find a balance between that. So a game like The Last of Us Part 2, like that's a game you can announce early, and you can kind of manage that and handle that the way that that's showed off to the press. But, a game like No Man's Sky, like obviously that one was announced and was in the press for years before it eventually came out. So that one was probably announced too early. So I think you've got to find a balance. Like you've got to have these press conferences set up where you have that balance. You have some of these games that are for the future that get people really excited. So when you show a Last of Us Part 2, people get really juiced about that. And then you've got to have games that are kind of in the interim. So you show Spider-Man. This one's coming out in the next year. Like this is going to be available to play, and then you got stuff that's coming out soon. You show a game like a really promising indie game, or maybe when they unveil something like Devil May Cry 5 and it's available that fall, in November or something like that. I think if they can figure out a way to strike a balance between when all these games are coming out, I think there's some games you can announce way in advance and you can manage that message properly, and that can be exciting for fans. But you also got to give them the other end of that spectrum as well.
And that was just a start. I mean, we had quite a few rumors this week. I mean, we go from Devil May Cry 5, and then we had just a strange EA leak. This story is hilarious. According to Reddit user by the name of Old Soul 2, they were accidentally sent an email. An internal email from developer and publisher EA.
Yeah, how does that work? By the way,
how do you? Yeah,
how do you get an accidental internal email?
I don't like. Obviously, I don't know who Reddit user Old Soul 2 is. Maybe there's somebody in the actual industry, and they're indirectly admitting that by saying, "Hey, I just got this email." Because I highly doubt EA would actually be like, "Okay, look, let's put here's Yorgi on here, and then let's the dude 79 at shortpaws.com slipped in there." Like, oh, sorry about that. So
this guy has to work for EA in some capacity, right? Like, how else would he be on this server or on this email list?
So this guy might have indirectly admitted that he works somewhere within the industry, possibly with EA, and so they posted this email, and it has like two roadmaps for like two games that a lot of people are waiting for, and that's Fee and A Way Out. Now, and that's, we talk about Fee, that's cool, but A Way Out, I completely forgot about this game, and that game looked really awesome at E3.
Yeah.
That's that co-op jailbreak game where you're controlling
excellent.
two different characters, and they can be doing two different things at one time, and it looks really, really, really sweet. But now, obviously, this hasn't been verified by EA. This could very well be a hoax, but some of the stuff they have on here, I mean, like, it shows Fee, this re-reveal at August 2017, and then a January Nintendo Direct. Fee will be on a Nintendo Direct, and then this game is slated to launch February 18th, 2018. So
pretty soon we're gonna have an idea of the validity of this leak, because if there is a Nintendo Direct in January and it features Fee in some capacity, then they're onto something here.
Yeah, I think if you see that, if the minute Nintendo announces a Direct for January, if they do, immediately you're starting to build credibility. And like you said, a Fee pops up on there. Okay, all of a sudden this is no longer a hoax. This is a legitimate email, which further cements that this person has something to do with EA or is within the gaming industry. So we get that information about Fee, and then there's just all this stuff about A Way Out. And, I mean, they're talking about an executive summary, loss of hype and anticipation around this title coming out of EA Play, or lots of hype, one of EA's strongest titles of the show, perceived as a bold choice for co-op-centric design and promising first impressions. Yosef's personality is a plus. His passion is great, but need to watch out for controversy. Like, what does that even mean?
I don't know.
Is Yosef a controversial guy? I don't really know what that means.
I know he's an excitable guy. He's a very passionate guy.
Yeah.
So, maybe he either overpromises something or says something he's not supposed to. I suppose that could be the case, but I don't know.
And then it has like these things called opportunities, special hands-on experience with Yosef at a press tour and interviews around launch, leverage relevant influencers to create Let's Plays with Yosef, and then Yosef speaking opportunities at DICE Summit. So, and like I said, there's just all these strange things on here, which would lead me to believe that this is something for internal, people to see. I mean, it's just the way that some of this stuff is written on here. And then lastly, this game, we all originally thought this was scheduled for 2018, but according to this image, it would suggest that EA is now planning this to release in 2019, which is kind of a bummer because I was really hoping this thing would be out in 2018.
Yeah, when they revealed this game, it was billed as a 2018 title, but like you said, this leaked memo, the headline at the top says one of the most anticipated games of 2019.
Right.
So, if this is true, then this game has seemingly slipped completely out of 2018, which is very early for this game to slip into 2019. I thought we're not even out of 2017 yet. So
I mean, at E3, we saw a decent playthrough, like a decent demo. Like this game looked really good. It looked polished. It looked like it was well along its way. So to see this slip into 2019, that is kind of strange.
Yeah, I agree. It looked like it was coming along great, and it was, like you said, it was a polished gameplay experience. Looked like they were maybe getting close to having some type of a finished product with that, but. If this is true, obviously not. So, yeah, that's definitely a bummer. I'm looking forward to this game. This is what it is, though, man. We're going to have plenty of games to play in 2018, so if A Way Out slips into 2019, so be it. And that's the thing with games, man. Like, there's never not a time where you're going to have a game to play. Like, if a game gets delayed, okay, just go play another game that comes out that year, or that month. There's just so many games that come out each and every week now. It's really hard to get upset by a delay, unless it's a game that I'm just like falling over myself for, like Spider-Man or something, or The Last of Us 2. Like if those got delayed, that would hurt. But for most games, man, if they get delayed, it's like, all right, I'll play one of the 400 games in my backlog, or I'll just buy something else that comes out this week.
Right. No, I feel you on that. Like I said, I'm excited for a way out. I think that looks like a really awesome game.
Yeah.
But I got to figure out how to get on these accidental internal emails, man. That's I feel like that would give our podcast even more credibility. So
yeah, man, we gotta throw the Short Paws name around, get on some of these email chains. I think we can make it happen.
Yeah, we'd be on the blacklist. So no, I'm not gonna get involved with that. But
we got clout, right?
Yeah, I haven't heard back from Maximum Games yet on that one request I talked to you about this week, so not surprising.
Yeah, probably won't be hearing back on that one.
Probably not. Let's keep going on the rumor mill. Soul Calibur VI could show up at the Game Awards. These latest rumors claim that Soul Calibur VI is set to be officially revealed in December. A couple of weeks ago, one rumor suggested that it would show up at PlayStation Experience 2017, but with Sony going for a more low-key event this year, the rumors are now saying that it'll be at the Game Awards, Jeff Keighley's industry awards show. So, obviously, we don't have too much information on this, other than there's a rumor that Soul Calibur 6 could be making an appearance here. Have you ever played any of the Soul Calibur games?
Oh yeah, Soul Calibur is an excellent series of games. It's it's this is a very crude way to describe it, but it's like Tekken with weapons. That's it's a weapon based fighter. Each character has a different style of weapon that they use, but it's an excellent series. Soul Calibur 2 is legendary, from the Dreamcast years for that version of the game. So it's a great series. I have fond memories of playing this on the PlayStation 1 and on the Dreamcast. People will remember Soul Calibur 4 from the PlayStation 2, GameCube era, Xbox era, where each version of the game had a different fighter on it. So like Link was on the GameCube version, Spawn was on the Xbox version, and Hayachi from Tekken was in the PlayStation version. So yeah, but Soul Calibur has a great history. It's a great series. So it's been years. I don't know, what did they say? It's been 5 years since the last time we saw a Soul Calibur game. So we're definitely due to get back into the Soul Calibur series. Soul Calibur has an interesting story too about just different people throughout time and whatnot. So it's a cool series, man. I'd love to see it return. I'd imagine a Soul Calibur 6 on current gen systems would be pretty kick-ass.
Man, you're saying great game, great series, great combat, and all I could hear you say was fighting game, and just all interest killed. So yeah, I'm really excited for Soul Calibur 6. Yahoo!
You should pull out your collector's editions of Street Fighter V and the multiple Mortal Kombat X ones that you own.
That was from the statues and
viewers.
Steelbooks. Statues and Steelbooks.
Oh, okay.
Not the actual games themselves. Come on now. You know better than that.
Gotcha.
And then the last rumor we heard was Assassin's Creed Rogue. Now, didn't this come out like 4 years ago?
Launched in late 2014.
Wow, so damn near close 4 years ago. But Assassin's Creed Rogue is rumored for Xbox One and PS4 next year. Several Italian retailers have Assassin's Creed Rogue HD for PS4 listed on their websites, complete with a March 18th, 2018 release date. Games are often leaked in such a way, and with multiple sites listing the same product and date, the remaster is looking very plausible. Yeah, normally when you see these things, these strange releases or these games unannounced, typically you see like the December 31st, 2018. Yeah. This one has a March 18th date.
Yeah, and they both have it, and these are still actually up on the the respective websites. Like, this hasn't been taken down. They're still sitting. The only problem though is sitting there.
I think March 18th is a Sunday.
Now this is an Italian release. In an Italian retailer, so it's possible that they would have, a different release date. I don't know if games release on Sunday in Italy. I have no idea. I think Wednesdays are typically release days in Europe. Don't know if Italy falls along similar lines, but that's the one thing I would say. But it is interesting that two different spots listed this, and they both listed the same date. And neither one of them have taken it down either. Like, you can go and click the link and see Assassin's Creed Rogue for PS4 and Xbox One still sitting there on this website.
Interesting. Speaking of Assassin's Creed Origins is going to be getting an update this month. It's a big one, and it's going to add new modes, enemy scaling, and more. This update will be adding a horde mode, an increased difficulty setting, enemy scaling, and a few new quests for the open-world action RPG. A new event quest will be added, pitting players against endless waves of enemies in the Serene Arena. The quest, titled Here Comes a New Challenger, is recommended for players level 32 or higher. The update will also introduce another quest, which Ubisoft is leaving as a surprise, but it may involve a mount with feathers. Oh, man, if you can fly in this game, that'd be sweet as hell.
Falcor?
Falcor, oh my god, awesome crossover, but never-ending story.
Have you tried any of these? I forgot what they're called, but these big like boss encounter things that they have in this game. Like, I think they were running something with Anubis. Don't know if that's still going on or not.
I'm trying to
trial or something. Trial.
The only thing that I've done, I had to do one it was like a small arena thing where you're doing a reenactment of some sorts, but I still got to beat the hell out of the guy. But he is a much tougher character to fight. And then the only other character that I've bossed that I've ran into that I just couldn't stand a chance is once you kill one of the targets in the game, he says, I'm trying to remember what he called, the partake or paryake or something along those lines, will hunt you down. And these are like bounty hunters. And when you run into them, they are like very, very challenging. Like they'll randomly appear on the map saying, hey, look, this guy's in town. You might want to take cover because he's looking for you. And then he'll end up walking through. And if you make enough rackets and you cause enough issues, he'll actually find you in the city and hunt you down. And it's from what I've encountered, it's a short fight, and it's over pretty quick. But I haven't encountered any of these big bosses that people are talking about. Maybe that I haven't unlocked that part of the game yet. Like I said, I'm only in the second area, and I think I'm level 14, so I'm not even close for this this new challenge mode that's getting added in here. But
gotcha. It's called Trials of the Gods.
I have not done Trials of the Gods.
Don't know if this is a separate mode or if it's somewhere you have to go in the main version of the game, but it sounds like it's like a separate thing. You have to be level 40, I guess, for this.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So, and then lastly, Nightmare mode will become available after the update, which will increase the difficulty of the game, making enemies more resilient and dangerous. This was added by popular request. Ubisoft is also adding enemy scaling. When this option is enabled, low-level enemies all across Egypt will have their levels increased to match the players. Man, no grinding weak enemies with that mode on.
Nah.
So, yeah, there's going to be a lot to do. A lot of stuff coming, and the in-game store will receive updates with a Gladiator items pack coming December 12th and a Wacky items pack December 26th. Nightmare and First Civ pack items will be available in the Heka chest. So lots of stuff getting dropped into Assassin's Creed here in December, man. Gonna be a lot of stuff to do. There's already enough to do as there is. So yeah. I'm not going to be jumping into this new stuff right away, but it's gonna be cool to know that it's there waiting for me.
Nice. Oh. Just to follow that up real quick too. In order to start the Trial of the Gods, here's what you got to do.
Oh, good.
When you're all set with what you have to do, fire up Assassin's Creed Origins with the latest patch installed. This was previously, so this should already be all taken care of. And you'll notice a new quest event in your journal guiding you to investigate a glitch in the Animus. Activate to drop a waypoint down southwest of Siwa, where you can enter the Trial of the Gods and fight Anubis. Just enter the beam of light to kick things off. Now this was, a few weeks ago. I believe this trial is now over. I don't know if you can access this anymore, but that's how you'll do it when the next one comes around.
Well, I'm gonna have to look for that and get my ass kicked because I know I'm not quite there yet. All right, moving along. Valkyria Chronicles 4 has been announced for PlayStation 4, Xbox One, and Switch. Wow, Switch getting in on the Valkyria Chronicles action here.
Interesting.
This is from the creator or the producer Kei Mikami. The first Valkyria Chronicles games focused on the small country of Gallia. This time around, the world itself is expanding to reveal an epic story that covers the full scope of the Second European War. We created a world history loosely based on the front lines of the Eastern Theater and want you to experience a different side of the European conflict. How did the war impact other continents and such? So, Valkyria Chronicles 4, obviously, just recently they released, what was that game? Valkyria Chronicles that wasn't a Valkyria game.
Valkyria Revolution.
And I know that wasn't met with fantastic reviews. In fact, I think it was kind of mediocre in terms of the review scores, and there were a lot of people who were just not looking for that type of Valkyria Chronicles game.
Yeah.
After playing 1, 2, and 3, people know what to expect from a Valkyria Chronicles game. I think it's awesome that they tried to kind of do a spin-off series of something different, but Valkyria Chronicles 4 will return to the proper Valkyria Chronicles experience that its community is familiar with. But very cool to see this on the Switch, boys.
Yeah. I mean, it seems like it would be a great game for the Switch. Obviously, strategy games lend themselves well to like a handheld setting. I don't have a whole lot of experience with Valkyria Chronicles, so I don't know the length of these battles or how in-depth they get. So just from an outside perspective, it seems like this game would be a good fit for the Switch. But if these battles go a little bit longer, maybe it's more of a couch type of an experience. But Yeah, I need to get in here and play one of these Valkyria games, man. Obviously, many people speak super highly of them, and this announcement was met with much fanfare.
Oh yeah, you should check out that one. What was the one that just came out recently on the PS4?
Yeah,
I think the remastered of the first game.
Yeah, and I have that. I just need to play. I just need to play it.
Beautiful looking game. It's got a beautiful art style and really good soundtrack. Very a sweeping score. So that's definitely worth a look. So we don't know when this is coming out specifically the date, but we do know that it's slated for some time in 2018. All right, Mr. Boyce. It's time for some PlayStation stories. What's going on in the world of PlayStation?
So, Sony apparently had, with the PlayStation 4, their biggest Black Friday in PlayStation's 22-year history.
Wow.
Biggest Black Friday. So, I don't know if you remember last year, but PlayStation sold a lot of PS4s last year. I think they sold something like 6 million units during the holiday season last year. So, to hear that this is their biggest Black Friday ever is pretty staggering. So this is from a Push Square article. Sony had the biggest Black Friday in PlayStation history, according to SIE executive Eric Lempel. Speaking with CNBC, Lempel said that the organization sold more consoles than we ever have in our 22-year history, despite the device largely selling out in the United States. Lempel added that additional purchases, such as PlayStation Plus, are driving huge profits for the manufacturer right now, and noted that the console business is alive and well. Going into this generation, a lot of people were counting out the console business, saying it wasn't going to work out. This is Lempel talking. But as you can see, the PS4 is thriving. Last month, Sony reported its earnings, and profits were up 346%. The majority of that was fueled by the PlayStation business. We're having a phenomenal year, and the console business is doing great. So we've talked about that on the show, right? Sony's financials recently, and every time we talk about Sony's financials, this huge multimedia company is being driven by PlayStation. Like, that is the driving force behind their business right now. Even their CEO, Kaz, like he came from the world of PlayStation. So PlayStation driving all aspects of the business right now. Lempel also briefly touched upon PlayStation VR, but didn't share any statistics. So consumers absolutely love this product, he said. The important thing is for people to try it. PlayStation VR is unlike anything else you've seen. There's a lot more to come. We're seeing the customers love the big immersive games, but there's a lot to come.
Man, from what I can gather, it sounds like that Skyrim bundle went crazy. Crazy on Black Friday with the sales they had going on the bundles.
Yeah, I mean, man, if you were on the fence about VR or you were interested in it at all, like, you had to jump on it on Black Friday. The prices were insane. You could get a unit for as low as $199, which is half off for a VR unit. So if you were at all interested, like that particular device entered heavy impulse territory. It seems silly to say a $200 item was an impulse buy, but at that
for
price,
gamers it is.
Yeah, at that price, that I'm sure goaded a lot of people into checking that out.
Update.
What are you updating us on?
December 2nd. We're in December.
Yeah.
Didn't buy a headset.
Still didn't buy it, eh?
Woo!
That's just because you couldn't find one. I know you tried.
I may or may not have been looking, yes. And also, man, Eric Lempel, I do miss his PlayStation 3 firmware update breakdown videos. Man.
Miss those?
No, I don't at all. He was so monotone through them. I was just like, dude, can this guy be any more dreary with these updates? You're supposed to be excited that we're getting trophies. And he's just like, yeah, hold this down. You get trophies. It's like, oh, my God, dude. Yeah, I forgot about, man, Eric Lempel. He always did the firmware update videos.
Yeah. He was always the technical guy with PlayStation. He's I think he's moved up in the world now.
He has.
He's doing good things. He's on CNBC now, speaking on behalf of the company. So
he's not on the blog. He's on mainstream media.
Yeah, it's good for Lempel, man. So big things for Sony out of Black Friday. Moving on from there, Brent, have you seen this game, Wizard of Legend? If you have not, you need to watch the trailer because this game looks awesome.
Really?
Awesome looking game. Yeah. So it's like it's a pixel art, like, action dungeon crawler, but man, the action looks awesome in this game. Really fast paced, like cool spells. a pretty cool like brawler system. This game looks like it's gonna be really fun. I love the style of this game.
I think Bender retweeted a short clip of this on. He mentioned it on Twitter because I do remember seeing a pixelated and it looked like the guy was dropping like this area of effect damage that was blowing up around. I was like, man, that looks pretty sweet. I'm pretty sure it was at Wizard of Legend.
Yeah, this game looks awesome, man. In the PlayStation blog post here, they note, think of Wizard of Legend as a pixelated hybrid of Devil May Cry or Bayonetta style hack and slash with Street Fighter combos and super moves. So that's the kind of like system that we're talking about here. But the fighting system looks awesome. Love the pixelated art style. This game looks like a lot of fun, man. This one is firmly on my radar for early 2018. This is also coming to the PlayStation or Xbox One. So it will be available on that platform also in early 2018. You'll actually be able to play Wizard of Legend on a PS4 at PlayStation Experience 2017. Ooh. So if you are making a trip down there, look out for that. Another game that was announced this week, Crossing Souls, from our good friends at Devolver Digital. This is developed by a group called 4Attic. And this is a very interesting game that calls back to the 80s, Brent. So this is something that is going to speak to us, I think. But it's it's like a puzzle, maybe not a puzzle, but like an adventure, like side-scrolling game. It has call-outs to He-Man and Thundercats in terms of its animation style, like its cutscenes. It really strives to get that 80s look to it. Like they note in here, like they painstakingly crafted their cutscenes to resemble like an 80s animation style. So, awesome. But they mention things like the Goonies, E.T., Ghostbusters, Gremlins. So all this kind of stuff that we grew up with in the 80s are some of the inspirations for this game. Sounds like this plays maybe something similar to a brawler. So definitely have Crossing Souls on the radar as well. Gang Beasts has a launch date as well, December 12th. So this is the Double Fine brawler that we've been following for a long time. I know Frankie's pretty interested in that one. So speaking of PlayStation Experience, we have some more concrete details on the PlayStation Experience. We have some panels now, Brent. So an interesting one here to kick things off. So on Saturday at 11 a.m., so the very first panel is a PlayStation VR game panel, and they don't tell us what game this panel is going to be about. So this sounds like this is going to be a new game that they announce at the PlayStation Experience here. So the description of this is we can't wait to tell you more about this one. Experience a candid conversation between two legends as they discuss developing their new PSVR title and lessons from VR development. So two legends discussing whatever this game is at this panel at 11 a.m. on Saturday. So it should be noted too that with all these panels, you'll be able to watch this on live.playstation.com. To be able to tune in and follow along. And like we mentioned on a previous show, the PlayStation Experience panels last year were excellent. So if they're anything to go by, these will be must-watch as well. Then, later on Saturday at 12:30, Media Molecule presents Dreams. So Dreams coming back to the PlayStation Experience. Join Media Molecule studio directors Saban Reddy, Mark Healy, and Alex Evans, alongside a very special guest, to take an in-depth look at the development of Dreams during their exclusive Saturday panel.
Man,
also,
if there was any doubt about whether or not this game was coming out now, has been squashed because you're not going to do a panel at PlayStation Experience about a game that's in jeopardy.
Yeah, and we also know it sounds like Dreams is going to have a presence at Sean Layden's presentation on Friday night. Dreams is going to have a panel here on Saturday. Dreams is also going to have a game jam going as well, where they're gonna host a community game jam. So so lots of stuff going on. There's developer meetups, all kinds of stuff going on at PlayStation Experience. So this sounds like this is going to be the big reemergence of Dreams. Hopefully we get some concrete details on it. Hopefully we understand what this game is, and hopefully they give us some kind of a release date, Brent, so we know what to expect. We have IGN's top 10 PlayStation games of all time. That will be a Saturday panel. Ghost of Tsushima, from concept to reveal, 3:30 p.m. on Saturday. That's going to be a can't-miss panel as well. Can't wait to see some more about Sucker Punch and Ghost of Tsushima. And for sure, this is a can't-miss panel, these next two. Uncharted 10th Anniversary Celebration. This is 5 p.m. on Saturday. Join us as we celebrate Uncharted's 10th anniversary at PlayStation Experience 2017 with an unprecedented gathering of the cast from throughout the series. Nolan North, Emily Rose, Richard McGonigal, Claudia Black, Laura Bailey, Troy Baker, Graham McTavish, and Robin Atkin Downs reflect on the series and share their memories with guest moderator Greg Miller. So that's going to be a good time, man. Definitely got to tune into that one. And then finally on Saturday at 6:30 p.m., The Last of Us Part 2 Meet the Cast. So join Naughty Dog and the cast of The Last of Us Part 2 as they discuss the making of the cutscene trailer that was revealed just a few short weeks ago at Paris Games Week. Director and writer Neil Druckmann, co-writer Haley Gross, and key members of the game's cast discuss the writing process, casting, performance capture, and more. Once again, the Last of Us panel last year was exceptional, so I definitely want to tune in and see what this one's all about. So, should be some fun panels this year, Brent. Sounds like the experience on the show floor is going to be really exceptional as well. Would love to be there in flesh and experiencing it, but guess we'll have to settle for live.playstation.com to take it all in. Anything else stand out to you from the panels? What's your one like can't miss panel?
Like I'm just really interested in the Dreams one. Like I'm
Yeah.
just really excited to see Dreams there, and I want to learn more about this game. And like I said, they appear to be going all in on Dreams at PSX. This is, like you said, I think this is gonna be kind of like a re-reveal of the game. We're gonna see the VR elements of this game. We're gonna see just. I think I remember. I mean, seriously, I remember when they first revealed Dreams. Immediately in my mind, I was like, God, this would be perfect in VR. And that's before there was even any VR implemented. And once I think people were kind of like, man, what is this game going to be on a big screen? What's going to be there? And you take Dreams, that's all in your head. That's all stuff that you visualize. And it's just, I think they're really banking on that portion of it, how immersive this game can be, how unique it's going to be in VR. And I'm just really excited to see a lot about Dreams. Obviously, the other ones, the Uncharted panel is going to be great. The Last of Us 2 panel is going to be great. But I'm just really excited to see about Dreams, man.
So you think, if you were a betting man, Dreams will have some type of VR integration that will be displayed on Saturday?
It has to.
I wouldn't be surprised, man. It would make total sense especially for Media Molecule. They like to experiment with new technology, so very, very interested, man, to see what Dreams is now. So moving on from there, the Demon Souls servers will shut down in February of 2018.
Wow.
Obviously, Demon Souls has been around for a long time now. So the servers will officially terminate on February 28th, 2018. So if you are a big Demon Souls fan, give this one more hurrah before the servers shut down. Obviously, you'll still be able to play the game single player, but you won't be able to call in support or anything like you can. And that was one of the big innovations from Demon Souls. Did you ever play Demon Souls?
A little bit, but not a whole lot.
Yeah. Never played Demon Souls. I have a little bit of experience with with Bloodborne and whatnot, but never played the one that started it all. Maybe you should do that before it shuts down.
Might want to try it.
Persona 5 now has sold over 2 million copies worldwide. So congratulations to them. Once again, a game that should be like a niche JRPG title has found quite the audience. The series now over 9 million units sold across PlayStation 4 and PlayStation 3. So very, very impressive numbers from Persona 5. Obviously, Persona 5 is stratospheric in terms of its praise. It's listed on the Game Awards as well for Game of the Year. So this is the kind of attention that this game has drawn. So kudos to Atlas and the team for for doing what they do with Persona. I need to get in there and play one of those games at some point. How about this, Brent? So Sony is sending select PlayStation Plus members PSVR bundles for free.
Wow.
So this is a great deal, man. So here's the thing. There's a new initiative with PlayStation VR in the United States where select PlayStation Plus members are being invited to try the device for 14 days free of charge. Here's the thing. If you agree to this, Sony will put a $299.99 hold on your credit card. And if you don't return the unit within the allotted time, it's yours to keep at that price. The platform holder has mentioned time and again that gamers are generally impressed when they try out the technology, so this is one way of selling some of the more engaged PlayStation fans on the unit. Now, this bundle happens to be a steal at $299.99.
Which bundle is it?
It includes the PSVR headset alongside with a camera, 2 PlayStation Move controllers, and a copy of Skyrim VR. So it's the Skyrim
Wow.
VR bundle, as well as the latest demo disc. So this would have been $350 during Black Friday. It normally sells for $450. If you agree to this promotion, it's $299 for you if you try it out and want to keep it.
Wow.
What do you think of that, Brent? You basically get $150 off of the unit for trying it out for 14 days and then deciding if you want to keep it or not. This is a pretty ingenious way to advertise PlayStation VR, right?
Oh, hell yeah. I hope they do this with the PS5.
Yeah, hope I get that email. I'm still trying to get a just 10% off coupon from Sony. So
I got one the other day.
I'm not holding out hopes. I cannot get emails from them for some reason. It just won't work. I don't get it.
Yeah. That's,
all right, moving on from there. So in terms of VR, Dark Eclipse has been announced for PlayStation VR. It's a MOBA from Sunsoft in VR. So that's interesting to see how that's going to play out. Rainbow Skies, Brent, still coming. Still set to launch in 2018 on PS4, PS3, and Vita. Got a new trailer this past week. So obviously this is the sequel to Rainbow Moon, a game I know you played and had a lot of fun with. So, these are great titles to have on the go with the Vita, but also be able to play at home on the PlayStation 4. Rainbow Moon was cross-buy. I imagine this one's going to be cross-buy across all these platforms. So hopefully that gets out sooner rather than later. That game's been gestating for a very long time.
a long time.
I mean, how long has Rainbow Skies been in development now? Like 5 years?
It's been seriously. I feel like we talk about it every December. Like, oh, it's coming out soon.
Yeah. So eventually, hopefully, that game will make it out. Edith Finch has a limited physical version of the game that's coming out from IM 8-Bit. It's coming in January 2018. Features a premium reversible cover insert. You can also get a special edition vinyl of the game's soundtrack, along with the physical version of the game as well. But $29.99 if you're into that kind of stuff. Check out IM 8-Bit next month. Arcade Distilleries, this is the team behind Plague Road. They announced 3 new titles for the PlayStation 4 and Vita this past week. So Skull Pirates was announced. This one coming to the PlayStation 4 and Vita. War Theater is targeting Q1 2018 for the PS4 and Vita. And Manufactured Beauty is a 3D platformer, which appears to be targeting the Vita. So, so nice little collection of games from Arcade Distillery. I've liked what I've played from them. I'll definitely be keeping my eyes out for that. Finally, Brent, Let It Die celebrates its first anniversary. A game I know you spent some time with by collaborating with World of Tanks. So,
wow.
Yeah, so the strangest crossover
Match
we
made
could
in
possibly
heaven.
think of. Yeah. So this event runs until January 11th. You can get new events and gear for the game. So check that out.
Awesome. That's good stuff. Thank you, Mr. Boyce. A couple more things we want to touch on. First of all, Square Enix just being the good guys this week while EA is trying to survive and not drown. Square Enix is out there doing the good things. First off, they had a comment about Deus Ex, and thankfully, it's not dead.
Oh, boy.
I know. Earlier this year, it was reported that Square Enix put the Deus Ex series on hiatus after underwhelming sales of the latest entry, Mankind Divided. That's not true that the series is going away forever, Square Enix CEO Yosuke Matsuda said in a new interview. In fact, plans, at least preliminary plans, are already underway for a new installment. This is what he had to say. We have never said anything about discontinuing the title, but for some reason, that's the rumor that's on the market. That being said, Matsuda strongly suggested that the Deus Ex series is taking a breather for the time being. Series developer Eidos Montreal is currently working on an Avengers game, and understandably, it sounds like that project is taking up the lion's share of the studio's development resources. What I can say is Eidos Montreal has always developed Deus Ex, and the issue is we do not have limitless resources, Matsuda said. We have several big titles that we work with, and that's partly a factor in what our lineup looks like. Of course, it would be ideal if we could work on all of them all the time, but the fact of the matter is some of the titles have to wait their turn. The reason there isn't a Deus Ex right now is just a product of our development lineup because there are other titles we are working on. Matsuda also added that Deus Ex is a very important franchise for Square Enix overall, adding that adding that some discussions are already being held about what Square Enix wants to do with the next Deus Ex game, though no further details are available at this time. So I'm really glad to hear that Deus Ex will return at some point. They do still feel that this is an important franchise for Square Enix, and I agree with them. It's an awesome franchise. It's an awesome series, and it's criminal that game didn't sell up to their expectations, because it really is a great game. But it's nice to hear that it still means something to Square Enix, and that we have not heard the last from Adam Jensen.
I was trying to go back and see exactly what they said about Deus Ex, because they said in the statement here that they don't know where the rumor came from that it was dead or whatever. But I was trying to go back and find exactly what they said, but it sounded, if I remember correctly, before they all but said that Deus Ex was dead in their last statement. So yeah, interesting to hear them say that.
So that was the first feel-good story of the week from Square Enix. And now this next one is awesome. And I love this. Square Enix took a moment to discuss why they let IO Interactive keep Hitman, the Hitman IP. And this is Yosuke Matsuda-san recently explained why it allowed this to happen, and that is because, and I quote, "It's because I believe it wouldn't be Hitman unless it was a Hitman made by IO."
Nice.
Man, now that is sweet. He added that he believes the fans of the series would feel the same way. "I believe the fans of Hitman think it's only Hitman if it's made by IO. So I thought that was the best way for the game to continue, and that's why we were supportive of the management buyout, and of course, didn't mind if they continued to use the IP," he explained. I think that's awesome that he came out and said that, dude. I mean, that's just, again, Square Enix, the good guy publisher.
Yeah, I mean, it's a great story, dude. And like you alluded to there, they don't have any use for the Hitman license. That's why they severed ties with IO. Like Hitman wasn't the success for them that they hoped it would be, but IO is very passionate about that, and Hitman as an independent property from IO, like that can be very successful for them. So it makes sense for them to just part their ways with IO, let IO keep Hitman, keep that franchise alive for that series, garner goodwill with their fans because of this move, and then they just move on with their life. So it's kind of a win all the way around for everybody involved.
So good on Square Enix, and I'm really excited to see what IO does next with the next Hitman game. So, and then the last thing we want to talk about here, and this is something we've talked about in the past, but Player Unknown himself, Brendan Green, was talking about Player Unknown Battlegrounds and what players should expect from its Xbox One console version, and in terms of the frame rate. And this is Brendan Green here. He said, on Xbox One, we're not sure yet. We may have to limit it at 30 FPS, maybe, but the last time I saw it, it was running at about 30 to 40. He's talking about the base model. We're still constantly improving it, though, so, the aim is to get to 60. That's why we're doing game preview, because I think the great thing about console is it's locked hardware system, so we can do really specific tweaks that tune it for the systems. But he also mentioned that the Xbox One X version will run at 60 FPS. And so there you and I were talking again, is that going to go over well for everyone that's on the OG Xbox or the Xbox One S? Are you going to be at a significant disadvantage running at 30 frames if it's capped there, going up against people playing on the Xbox One X who are enjoying that silky smooth 60 frames? Obviously, reaction time is quicker on a higher frame rate. And, you and I understand that, that could be an issue. I mean, that is a concern. But then I look at it from the PC perspective, and this is where Brendan Green is obviously coming from, the PC world, is not there's 18 or 20 million people out there playing PUBG right now. And I can guarantee you not all of them are running at 60 frames. There are people that have to make concessions to get the game running on their system, so they're playing at 540p and 30 frames with the lowest details. Yet they're able to play the game with people who are doing 60 frames. And now I don't know whether or not they're enjoying the type of success that people are at the 60 frames, but people do have to make concessions to play a game, and sometimes frame rate comes into play there. So, obviously it is something that can be done, that people are doing, But we're not sure how that would work in the console space. I mean, that's just, you can't tweak anything. You're just stuck at 30 FPS. You can't upgrade your Xbox One S or your OG unless you buy the X.
Yeah.
So that is kind of a disappointing thing. So, a lot of people were talking again, and plus Microsoft said a while back when the Xbox One X and the Xbox One S, they said, hey, look, this thing is going to be no increased frame rates. You're going to have the same frame rates across the board.
Bingo.
So obviously they didn't want to go back on that either. So obviously Brendan got a call from somebody, and he had to update with a tweet. And here's what he said. While I previously stated PUBG would run higher frame rates at Xbox Game Preview launch on 12/12, I want to clarify that PUBG will run at 30 FPS across all Xbox One devices. We're constantly refining the game and exploring options to increase frame rate, but this early in dev, we're unable to confirm more. So a quick little backtrack there. And so at launch, regardless if you're on the X, the S, or the OG Xbox, PUBG will run at 30 frames per second. Now, I can tell you this, having played PUBG on PC, I played it at 60 frames. I don't think of it as a Twitch shooter. It's not. So, I would say it's more in line, where I would say it's not as necessary to have the 60 frames that you see in the Call of Duties or even Star Wars and Battlefield. Those games are more Twitch-based, more not so much Battlefield, but Call of Duty, obviously. Playing PUBG, I don't think it would be that terrible of an experience at 30 FPS. I think it would be more in line with what we see when we play Destiny. There is a first-person shooter, but it feels really good at 30 frames. When I play PUBG, I don't think of it as a Twitch shooter. It's not. It's really, really not. So I don't think the 60 FPS, the lack of, is going to be an issue on consoles when it comes to Xbox One. I really don't.
And that could very well be the case. When we were talking about this earlier, like I'm not a technical computer guru, so I really don't know how much frame rate affects input and all that kind of stuff one way or another. I've always been under the impression that if your game's at 60 frames, like it's twice as responsive as your 30 frames game. So that may or may not be the case. I don't know if that's exactly how the math works out. But yeah, I just thinking about this, man. I just with a PC, like you know what you're getting into with PC. Like you understand that when you jump into a PC game in that world, you know that people have all kinds of different rigs and they do all kinds of different things. And this guy might be playing the game at 120 frames, and this guy might be less or whatever. Like you understand that that's the world that you're stepping into. But you don't understand that on consoles. Like that's not how you think of a console. You expect when you jump into a console experience that everybody's on a level playing field.
Right.
So, and Microsoft, that was their message to everybody, right? Like it was like, hey, this is an Xbox One. Like in terms of the Scorpio, the Xbox One X. This is an Xbox One. This is an Xbox One family device. You are buying this device in order to get 4K resolutions, in order to get HDR, even though you can get that on the S, like the improved textures, whatever all the stuff that you get with the Xbox One X experience. Now, in certain situations, you will get increased frame rates, but those
are more or less in the single player category, the single player's arena.
Exactly. That's a single player thing, and that's why when Gears of War 4 was developed, it was 30 frames in the campaign, but when it got the multiplayer, that was 60 frames. It was 60 frames for across the board there. So, and with Microsoft, their messaging has always been like there's not going to be an advantage. It's been the same thing with PlayStation 4 Pro. Like that's always been the message. Like you're not getting you're not going to be at a disadvantage by having a regular Xbox or a regular PlayStation 4. So now we're in a situation where we have a developer who was, very clearly working towards getting 60 frames on the Xbox One X and 30 frames on the Xbox One standard. And this is a multiplayer-only game. Right. So, like I said, I'm not a scientist when it comes to this stuff, but I have to assume you get at least some kind of an advantage by running your game at 60 frames against the guy that's running it at 30 frames. So, and to me, that's the kind of stuff that Microsoft said would not happen. So, in this situation, like I think it's just the difference between console and PC. with PC, you understand that that's the world that you're going into. With console, that's not what you expect. So I'm going to be curious to see the PUBG story, man, and how this all works out. But I'm also curious, like, how many people realize that this is an unfinished game that's coming out. Like, the way that this game's being marketed, the way that this game's being portrayed to gamers, to me, it seems very much like this is a regular game launch. Like, PUBG is coming out on December 12th. There's a retail copy that you can go and buy. I don't think there's a disc in the box or whatever.
No, it's just a code.
Yeah, but you can go to the store, buy a retail game. You get on your Xbox, buy this game, and it's a big game with a big time name behind it that there's a lot of buzz about. So I wonder how many people realize this is an early access game. And even in the comments there from Brendan, he said that this was early. He used that word in his comments about the Xbox One version. So we don't know what the condition of this game is and when it's going to come out. So I'm very curious to see how the Xbox audience responds to this and how many people realize that this game is an unfinished game and there's going to be issues with it when it comes out. This game is not technically sound on the PC, and I find it very hard to believe that suddenly it's going to come on an Xbox and all of a sudden be a technical wonder. So, I'm curious to see this, man.
Yeah, it will be interesting. I mean, there's going to be three groups of gamers here with the Xbox community. You're going to have those like us who are informed that know what game preview is. We know the risks that come with early access games, and we set our expectations accordingly. Then you're going to have the second group that's going to go into the store and be like, hey, what's game preview? And they're going to see that on the box. Like, what's game preview? What does this mean? And someone hopefully at the store knows what the hell they're talking about. Like, hey, look, that means it's an early access game, means it's not finished, means it's a work in progress, but it's PUBG for console. And so they'll be able to make an informed choice. And then you're going to have the one group that's just like, I just want to play PUBG, the most popular game on earth. They're going to go into the store. They're going to look at the box. They're not going to see game preview. They're going to see PUBG. Xbox One. Cool. I'm buying this right now. I'm playing PUBG with my buddies on Xbox. It's going to be awesome. And if that thing isn't a polished game, they're going to be pissed. So really, there's going to be three groups here. And unfortunately, the group that might be led astray here, that might be being misled, is going to be the largest group, the casual gamers who just want to play the hot game, the new hotness, or whatever you want to call it. Everyone else, we kind of know what to expect. We have our expectations in check, but there will be a group of people who are going to be disappointed if this game isn't running like Call of Duty or as smooth as like Battlefront or whatnot in terms of gameplay, not loot boxes.
Yeah, no, definitely. And I think one of the encouraging thing is that it sounds like eventually, like their goal is to get this game to 60 frames, right, across all devices. It sounds like while this game is in game preview, they're going to be working at shoring up the frame rate, and maybe when this eventually gets its 1.0 release on Xbox One, maybe this is a 60 frames game at that point. Like we talked about, man, this is not a good looking game. This is not like a looker of a game. This is a pretty ugly game. So really the thing that's driving what we think is the strain on the system is the fact that there's 100 people in the map at one time. So having to deal with that is kind of what we believe is hindering the ability to just hit 60 frames easily. So hopefully they'll get that figured out. Like they said, that's a nice thing about consoles. You have hardware that's set in stone, so you can kind of optimize because you know what you're working with. So hopefully they're able to get to the point where they can get PUBG to 60 frames. That would that would be great.
Absolutely. And then the last bit of PUBG news, at the Game Awards next week, the new desert map will be unveiled. So we're going to see a new map for PUBG. Normally the only map right now available is the island map, so now we're going to get a desert map.
Maybe they'll find inspiration in your legendary Little Big Planet map, Mountain and Cactus. they could just throw that in there.
Oh man, I better get some royalties off of that. That's a very inventive idea. It's very very unique.
We'll have to look when it comes out, man. We'll have to see what the similarities are.
If I see a mountain and a cactus right next to it, I'm lawyering up. I'm gonna get a lawyer and I'm gonna get my money. So
do it, man.
But that's going to do it for this week's show, Mr. Boyce. You and I going through another wonderful episode together. A lot of great stuff to talk about. Really good to talk about Destiny 2. Really excited to try it out. Make sure you tune in this week. We will be streaming it on Tuesday night. Ben, myself, and probably Bender, and we're gonna take it. We're gonna run it through the gauntlet and explore every aspect of it that we can, and hopefully we'll have a good time with it, buddy.
Absolutely, looking forward to it, man. Can't wait.
Awesome. Where can we find you gaming and tweeting, Mr. Boyce?
As always, Brent, I will be not tweeting at Piccolo930. It's my PSN ID as well as where you can find me on the Switch. The Tuesday night indie spotlight this week will be a Tuesday midday afternoon or whenever
Tuesday
you get to
midday delight.
So yeah, if you're used to watching the indie spotlight at night on Tuesday, obviously we'll be playing Destiny at that time on our YouTube channel. So either go back and watch Brent's stream from earlier in the day when you get a chance, or tune in live, either at work or at home or wherever you are.
You can find me on PlayStation Network, the Nintendo Network, the Dude 79, Xbox Live, the Real Dude, the Real Dude 79, and I'm always on Twitter tweeting at the Dude 1979. Make sure you visit the website www.shortpause.com. Follow us on Twitter at the Short Pause. Anytime we go live on YouTube, Twitch, Mixer, or anything like that, we'll always send out a link for you to tune in. So make sure you follow us there. You can listen to this podcast on iTunes, SoundCloud, Google Play, TuneIn Radio, and Stitcher. You can also watch it right here on YouTube and also on our Facebook page and Twitch. Now, if you like this podcast, if you really like the podcast, go over to iTunes, give us a 5-star rating, write up a nice review. If you're watching it on YouTube, give us a thumbs up. Let us know in the comments what you like about the video. If you're not quite ready to give us a 5-star rating, that's cool. We don't want any fake ones. Come over to the website, go right into the podcast post, into the comments, let us know your thoughts. Any feedback, any criticism, any suggestions, we need to hear from you. If you got something real nasty to write, podcast@shortpause.com. I love reading emails from our listeners and our viewers. We need that information. We need all that feedback. It allows us to make the show more appealing for you. For Mr. Boyce, I'm Brent Felsing. Thanks again for listening and watching the Short Pause Gaming Podcast. We'll talk to you next week. Good night, everybody.
See you guys.